Alright, so let's dive right in. Before things got complicated, before the Lich, before Flame Princess, before all the cosmic, heartbreaking, and world-altering stuff, there was something beautifully simple at the heart of Adventure Time. There was a boy, a dog, and a princess. And for that boy, Finn the human, that princess wasn't just royalty, she was everything. Let's explore the very beginning of it all. Finn's pure, all-consuming, capital C crush on Princess Bubblegum. You have to remember, when we first meet Finn, he's just a kid, 12 years old, full of boundless energy and driven by a black and white moral compass. For him, the world is pretty straightforward. There are good guys and bad guys, and his job is to punch the bad guys to protect the good guys. And at the absolute center of that good guy universe was Princess Bubblegum. She wasn't just a person he was trying to impress. She was the sun his entire heroic world orbited around. The Candy Kingdom was his domain to protect, and she was its heart. Every monster slain, every quest undertaken, every heroic deed was, on some level, an offering laid at her feet. He was her sworn knight, her champion, and in his young mind, that was the highest honor imaginable. His entire identity as a hero was inextricably linked to her. Protecting her and her kingdom gave him his purpose. This wasn't just a casual, oh, she's cute kind of crush. This was a foundational pillar of his entire being. We see it in the little things, right from the start. The way he gets flustered when she compliments him, the way his voice goes up an octave, the sheer, unfiltered joy on his face whenever she gives him a mission. He lives for her approval. And because this infatuation is so pure and so intense, it comes with a flip side that's just as powerful, jealousy. It's a raw, unfamiliar emotion for a kid who's used to solving problems with his fists. He doesn't know how to process it, and it bubbles up in some of the most telling early moments of the show. This brings us to one of the absolute classic examples, a moment that perfectly crystallizes this early stage of their relationship, the whole Ricardo the Heart Guy incident. You remember him, right? The suave, disturbingly handsome, literal heart man who just shows up at the castle one day, the Ice King's heart, magically brought to life. He's charming, he's got a smooth voice, and he immediately starts laying the charm on thick with Princess Bubblegum. And Finn. Finn is sidelined. He's supposed to be her hero, her #1 guy, but here comes this new dude who's everything Finn isn't, sophisticated, poetic, a good dancer. The party scene is where it all comes to a head. Finn is just standing there, watching, feeling completely useless. And this is where we get that perfect, heartbreakingly honest line from him. He's just watching them on the dance floor, and he mutters to himself, "Why didn't the princess invite me to dance?" But now, she's dancing with him. Ah, I feel weird. Let's break that down because it's so important. The first part, "Why didn't the princess invite me to dance?" is pure kid logic. It's hurt feelings, a sense of being left out, of being replaced. But the second part, "Ah, I feel weird," is the real key. He doesn't have the emotional vocabulary to name what he's feeling. He can't say, "I'm jealous," or "I feel possessive," or "I'm insecure." It's just a new, uncomfortable, squirmy feeling in his gut. It's the first real crack in his simple heroic fantasy. He learns that defeating a monster is easy compared to dealing with this strange, internal ache. The fact that Ricardo literally wants to rip out Bubblegum's heart and make out with it is just the over-the-top Adventure Time way of externalizing Finn's internal fear. This guy is here to steal the princess's heart, both literally and figuratively. And we see this jealousy evolve a little bit later on. It's not always about a villain. Sometimes it's just a guy. Remember when Old Man Henchman, the former servant of the Lich, gets his memory wiped and becomes the sweet, innocent Mr. Cream Puff? Well, he enters a contest to win a date with Princess Bubblegum. And when Finn sees them together, seemingly on a date, his reaction is another masterclass in teenage awkwardness. He walks up, all tense, and says, "PB, who's the new guy?" You can feel the possessiveness in that question. Then, when she explains, he tries to play it cool, a defense mechanism he didn't have during the Ricardo incident. He turns to Mr. Rick, Cream Puff, and forces out, "What? Hey man! Oh cool, that's cool you're dating." The forced nonchalance is almost more painful than the open confusion with Ricardo. He's trying to act mature, to pretend it doesn't bother him, but it so clearly does. He's learning to mask the weird feeling, but it's still there, eating him up inside. These moments show us that his love for her isn't just about protecting her, it's about wanting to be with her, and the thought of anyone else filling that role is deeply painful for him. But here's the thing, it would be a disservice to their early dynamic to paint it as just Finn's unrequited crush. There was a deep, genuine mutual respect there that formed the bedrock of their friendship. Bubblegum, for all her scientific genius and royal responsibilities, saw the good in Finn. Yes, he was a goofy, sometimes reckless kid, but she recognized his unwavering moral compass. She knew that when things got real, Finn would always, without fail, try to do the right thing. He was her most loyal, trustworthy champion. She could rely on him in a way she couldn't rely on her often useless candy people. He was her hero, not just because he was strong, but because he was fundamentally good, and Finn, in turn, respected her immensely. He saw her as more than just a princess to be rescued. He saw her as a brilliant leader, a genius scientist, and the person holding their entire world together. Their shared sense of right and wrong, their mutual desire to protect the innocent, created a bond that went deeper than simple infatuation. And this is where it gets really interesting. Was it truly all one-sided? The show gives us these tantalizing little hints that maybe, just maybe, Princess Bubblegum had some hidden feelings of her own. She was so often focused on science and her kingdom, so emotionally guarded, but every now and then, the mask would slip. You'd see it in the little blushes when Finn would give her a heartfelt, if clumsy, compliment. But the biggest piece of evidence, the one we all have to talk about, is the sweater. Let's set the scene. This is from Mortal Folly, right before the first major confrontation with the Lich. The stakes are impossibly high. Finn is about to face the embodiment of pure evil, and Bubblegum is clearly terrified for him. She gives him a gift, a pink sweater she made herself. And as she gives it to him, she says, "I care about you, Finn," which is already a huge admission for someone as reserved as her. But then she points to the wool and says, "I love it. Wool in love." Wool in love? Come on, that's not just a throwaway pun. This is Princess Bubblegum, a woman whose entire life is about precision, science, and language, making a very deliberate play on words. And then there's the sweater itself. She calls it a sweater to like him in, not just like him as a friend, but like him. In the universal language of kids and teenagers, that means one thing. It's the closest she can get to a direct confession, couching her affection in puns and playground terminology because saying it plainly is too vulnerable, too scary. In that moment, she's not a princess or a scientist. She's a girl who is deeply afraid of losing a boy she cares about immensely. So you see, what started as a simple knight and princess fairy tale was already beginning to show cracks and reveal a much deeper, more complex picture. It was a story of a boy's first all-consuming love, the painful discovery of jealousy, and the struggle to be the hero he thought his princess deserved. But it was also a story of mutual respect, a deep bond forged in battle, and a shared moral code. And, woven throughout it all, were these quiet, subtle hints that the princess's feelings might be more complicated than she let on. This wasn't a simple case of unrequited love. It was the beginning of a long, complicated, and beautiful relationship that would go on to define both of them for years to come. The stage was set for something much more than a fairy tale. Alright, so let's get into the real meat of it, the relationship that defined Finn's entire childhood, his crush on Princess Bubblegum. This wasn't just some background detail, it was the engine for so much of his early character development. It's a story of hero worship, friendship, and ultimately, Finn's very first, very real heartbreak. Now, for the longest time, Finn's crush was pretty one-sided and, let's be honest, kind of idealized. He was a 12, then 13-year-old kid, and she was this brilliant, seemingly perfect, eternally 18-year-old scientist ruler. She was his boss, his friend, and the object of his affection, all rolled into one. He saw her as this flawless goddess, and she saw him as her sweet, brave, and slightly chaotic champion. It was a dynamic built on a power and age imbalance, you know. He was the knight, she was the princess. Classic stuff. But then, everything changes. The turning point, the moment the entire dynamic gets flipped on its head, happens during the whole Lich saga in Mortal Folly and Mortal Recoil. It's intense. The Lich possesses bubblegum, and in a desperate, heroic move, Finn has to shatter her possessed body to save Ooh. It's traumatic. But she's put back together by the Candy Kingdom doctors, and here's the twist, she comes back as a 13-year-old. Suddenly, that age gap, that massive gulf in maturity and experience, it's gone. For the first time, Finn and Princess Bubblegum are peers. And this is where things get so interesting. Because 13-year-old PB isn't the stoic, focused ruler we know, she's a kid. She's giggly, a little insecure, and way more emotionally transparent. And what's the first thing she does? She develops a massive, obvious crush on Finn. It's a total role reversal. Now he's the cool, experienced one, and she's the one fawning over him. She clings to him, hugs him constantly, and gets super jealous when her creepy, lemon-headed creation, the Earl of Lemongrab, shows up and demands her attention. You can see it in her eyes. She's completely smitten with her hero. For Finn, this must have been a dream come true. The girl he'd placed on a pedestal was finally looking at him the same way. They were connecting on a level they never could before. It was real. But, of course, this is adventure time, so nothing stays simple. She eventually gets restored to her 18-year-old self, and this is where the real turmoil begins. Because now the waters are permanently muddied. Finn has seen behind the curtain. He knows that, somewhere inside that brilliant scientific mind, there are feelings for him. He has concrete proof. But for the restored Princess Bubblegum, it's a lot more complicated. She has the memories of being 13, but she also has the responsibilities and the mindset of an 18-year-old ruler of an entire kingdom. Her priorities snap right back to her citizens, her experiments, and the well-being of Ooh. That teenage infatuation is now just an awkward, sweet memory, not an active feeling. This disconnect is the source of so much pain. Finn, bless his heart, can't let go of that hope. He starts misinterpreting everything. Every kind gesture, every friendly smile, every time she calls on him for help, he sees it through the lens of, she liked me once, maybe she still does. He's constantly searching for a signal that just isn't there anymore. And Bubblegum isn't exactly a master of emotional communication. She cares for Finn deeply, truly, as a dear friend and her most loyal champion, but she tries to handle his crush by either ignoring it or just being clinical about it. Deity S in V. She doesn't know how to let him down gently, so she just sort of avoids the topic, which only gives Finn more room to fill in the blanks with his own wishful thinking. It's a tangled, emotional mess where both of them are operating on completely different wavelengths. This leads Finn down a path of trying way too hard, resulting in some of the most cringy and relatable moments in the show. Remember the episode Go With Me? It's the perfect example of Finn's clumsy attempts to force a romantic connection. He wants to ask PB to the movies, a simple, normal thing to do, but he has no idea how. So he asks for advice and gets the worst possible suggestions from everyone, especially Marceline, who is clearly just having a laugh at his expense. He ends up trying to be some kind of smooth, mysterious dude, which is the exact opposite of who he is. We see him hiding in a bush, just shouting, "Hey!" at Bubblegum, trying to get her attention. It's hilarious, but it's also heartbreaking. He thinks romance is a formula you can solve, a quest you can win if you just find the right approach. He doesn't understand that it has to be genuine, and his awkward, backfiring attempts only make Bubblegum more uncomfortable and push her further away. The tension keeps building and building until it finally explodes in the episode Burning Low. This is a huge moment for their relationship. Jake notices that Finn's unrequited love is literally manifesting as a dangerous internal fire that could consume him. Worried for his brother, Jake goes to PB and explains the situation. This forces a confrontation, and in that moment, with all his pain and frustration boiling over, Finn finally says it all out loud. He lays his heart bare. He yells, and you have to hear the desperation in his voice. What am I talking about? PB, I was in love with you, okay? And you didn't love me back. Let's just break that quote down. The phrasing is so important. He says was in love with you. Past tense. It's the sound of a boy trying to convince himself he's over it, even as the pain is tearing him apart. It's a confession and a surrender all at once. He's admitting defeat, and Bubblegum's reaction is just pure shock and sadness. She's faced with the full weight of his feelings, and she has nothing to offer back but a pained expression. There's no ambiguity left. He loves her, and she doesn't love him back. It's a brutal, honest, and devastating moment of clarity for both of them. You'd think that would be the end, right? The final word. But Finn is a hero. He doesn't give up. So we get one last, final, soul-crushing rejection in the episode Incendium. Finn is in a deep, dark depression after the events of Burning Low. Jake, trying to be a good bro, decides the only way to fix Finn's broken heart is to find him a new love interest. His quest takes him to the Fire Kingdom, where he tries to set Finn up with Flame Princess. This, naturally, goes horribly wrong and escalates into a full-blown diplomatic incident. Princess Bubblegum has to intervene to stop a war. After the chaos dies down, Finn, seeing her there, makes one last, desperate, simple gesture. He's not trying to be cool or suave anymore. He just walks up to her and offers her a small leaf from a plant. It's a pure, innocent, Finn-like offering. It's him saying, "After all of this, I still care." And her response, it's the coldest, most definitive shutdown imaginable. She looks at him, not with malice, but with a kind of weary annoyance and says, Finn, no. Come on, Finn, don't be weird. Don't be weird." Those 3 words are just daggers to the heart of a teenager. It's not just a no. It's a complete invalidation of his feelings. It frames his pure, heartfelt emotion as something strange, awkward, and inappropriate. It's the ultimate dismissal. In that moment, Bubblegum isn't just rejecting a date, she's rejecting the very foundation of his hope. She's drawing a final, permanent line in the sand, and it shatters what's left of Finn's heart. This whole arc is Finn's first major lesson in unrequited love. Think about it. Up until this point, every problem Finn faced was an external one. A monster to slay, a dungeon to conquer, a villain to punch. He could always win through strength, courage, and determination. But you can't punch your way into someone's heart. This is the first problem he absolutely cannot solve. It's a profound lesson in powerlessness. He learns that no matter how much you want something, no matter how good or heroic you are, you cannot control how another person feels. It's a bitter, painful, and absolutely necessary part of growing up. That final harsh rejection sends Finn into a complete spiral. We see him utterly broken, crying uncontrollably. This isn't just sadness, it's a deep existential despair. The idealized world he lived in, where the hero always gets the princess, has been completely destroyed. But this profound heartbreak is also what sets the stage for everything that comes next. He's raw, he's vulnerable, and he's desperate to feel something other than this crushing pain. His heart has a giant, bubblegum-shaped hole in it, and he needs to fill it. This is the state he's in when he truly meets Flame Princess, a girl whose fiery, passionate nature is the polar opposite of Bubblegum's cool, scientific demeanor. The rejection didn't just end one chapter of Finn's life. It was the violent, painful catalyst that threw him headfirst into the next one. Alright, so let's talk about what happens after the heartbreak, after the pedestal comes crashing down. This is where things get really interesting between Finn and Bubblegum, because this is where their real relationship begins. Moving past that intense, one-sided crush wasn't an ending for them. It was the start of something so much deeper and more meaningful, a genuine ride-or-die friendship. It's the evolution from a boy trying to win a princess to a man standing beside his friend. Think about it. For the first few seasons, almost every interaction Finn had with Bubblegum was filtered through this lens of, how can I impress her? How can I be the hero she wants? It was sweet, sure, but it was also incredibly one-dimensional. Finn wasn't really seeing her, Princess Bubblegum, the brilliant, stressed, sometimes morally gray scientist and leader. He was seeing an idea, a prize to be won, and honestly, she wasn't really seeing him either. To her, he was a sweet, heroic kid, her champion, but still a kid. There was a power imbalance, an emotional distance created by his infatuation and her royal duties. So, how do you bridge that gap? How do you go from that awkward dynamic to true equals? It happens slowly, piece by piece. But if you want to pinpoint a moment where the shift becomes undeniable, you have to look at the pajama war. This episode is just. It's a perfect little bottle episode that does so much heavy lifting for their dynamic. Let's set the scene. The Candy Kingdom is on lockdown because of some kind of security threat, and Finn gets trapped inside the castle with bubblegum. Now, old Finn. He would have seen this as the ultimate opportunity, a whole night alone with the princess. He'd be trying to pull off some grand, heroic gesture. But that's not what happens here. Not at all. They're just stuck together. There's no big bad to fight, no damsel to rescue. It's just two people in their pajamas, bored. And that boredom is the key. It strips away all the pretense. They end up just wandering the empty halls of the castle. Bubblegum gives Finn a casual tour, showing him all these little nooks and crannies he's never seen before. They build this incredible blanket and pillow fort, like a couple of kids. They're laughing, they're relaxed. There is zero romantic tension in the air. Can you feel the difference? It's not about trying to impress anyone. It's about finding a way to pass the time with someone whose company you genuinely enjoy. Finn isn't trying to be Finn the hero, he's just Finn. And Bubblegum isn't Her Royal Highness, she's just Peebles, hanging out. The climax of the episode isn't some big fight, it's a quiet conversation. They're sitting together, looking out over the kingdom, and the lockdown is ending. Finn turns to her, and with this simple, honest sincerity that only Finn can muster, he says, "Thanks for showing me around, PB. I've enjoyed just hanging out." Let that sink in. Just hanging out. That's the magic phrase. It's an admission that the value of their time together isn't tied to adventure or romance anymore. The value is the company itself. And Bubblegum's response is everything. She gives this small, genuine smile and says, "Me too." In those two words, you can feel the weight of her own relief. For years, she's had to manage his crush, to be careful not to lead him on, to always be the princess. This is maybe the first time she's been able to just relax and be a friend with him, without any of that baggage. It's a mutual, unspoken agreement that this new dynamic, this is better, this is real. From this point on, you see Finn's perspective shift dramatically. He's not a lovesick puppy anymore. He starts to see Bubblegum as a whole person, flaws and all. He sees her make tough, sometimes questionable decisions as a ruler. He sees her get obsessed with her science to the point of neglecting everything else. He sees her vulnerability, like in Varmints when she reconnects with Marceline and admits her own fears and regrets. Old Finn might have been disillusioned by this, by the idea that his perfect princess wasn't so perfect. But new Finn, mature Finn, he understands. He supports her. He becomes an ally, a confidant. He's no longer fighting for her as a prize, but fighting alongside her as a comrade. This journey of growth, of him outgrowing the crush, is what makes their bond in the later seasons so powerful. He's not her subordinate or her suitor, he's her equal. He's able to challenge her, to question her decisions, not out of petulance, but out of genuine concern for her well-being. And there is no greater example of this, the absolute peak of their mature friendship, than in the series finale, Come Along With Me. The stage is set for the Great Gum War. It's the biggest conflict Ooh has ever seen. Bubblegum is in full-on general mode. She's cold, she's calculating, she's ready to lead her people into a battle that will inevitably lead to massive destruction and loss of life. She's so focused on the strategic necessity of it that she's lost sight of the human or candy cost. And who is the one person who can break through that hardened exterior? It's Finn. He comes to her, not with a sword drawn, but with his heart on his sleeve. He looks his oldest friend in the eye and pleads with her to find another way. He's not trying to be a hero. He's not saying, "I'll solve this for you." He's just a friend who is terrified of what this war will do to her. He's seen the darkness that leadership can bring out in her, and he's scared of losing the person she is to the general she feels she has to be. He tells her he doesn't want to see her get all torn up. It's so personal, so vulnerable. He's not thinking about glory or victory. He's thinking about his friend's soul. This is the moment that proves, beyond any doubt, that his love for her has transformed. Infatuation wants to possess and protect an ideal. True, deep, platonic love wants to protect the person, even from themselves. He is willing to stand against her, to tell her she's wrong, because he cares about her that much. And what about bubblegum? How does she see him in this moment? At first, she dismisses him. She's in war mode, as she sees his plea as naive, but his words stick with her. They plant a seed of doubt. She starts to see him not as the little boy who used to follow her around, but as a young man with a wisdom and an emotional intelligence that she, in her logic-driven state, has lost sight of. She recognizes the maturity in his perspective. He has grown up right before her eyes, and his voice now carries a weight it never did before. He has become part of her conscience. This whole arc, from that first awkward crush to this profound moment of friendship in the finale, is one of the most important growth milestones in Finn's entire life. It's a beautifully written lesson for anyone watching. That first big crush feels like the most important thing in the world, but learning to let it go, to transform it into something different and lasting, is a critical part of growing up. Finn learned the difference between infatuation, loving the idea of someone, and a deep, abiding friendship, which is about loving the actual, complicated, flawed person. Their story doesn't end with a romantic kiss. It ends with something quieter and in many ways more powerful. After the war is over, after Ooh is saved, there's a quiet moment at the rebuilt treehouse. Finn is about to head off, and he says to her, so casually, so comfortably, "I'll see you tomorrow, okay?" It's not a grand declaration. It's a simple statement of fact. Their friendship is a constant now, a reliable part of their daily lives. And Bubblegum looks at him, really looks at him, and says, "See you tomorrow, you're getting tall." And there it is. The perfect summary of their entire journey. See you tomorrow is the promise of their enduring, stable friendship. And you're getting tall is her final, heartfelt acknowledgement of his journey. He's no longer the little boy with the crush. He has grown, literally and metaphorically, into a man, a hero, and her truest friend, her comrade. All right, so let's talk about rebounds. We've all been there, right? You get your heart absolutely stomped on, and the world just turns gray. Food tastes like nothing, your favorite things seem pointless, and you feel like you're just a walking, talking pile of sad. That is exactly where we find Finn at the start of this chapter. Remember the end of Incendium. Princess Bubblegum, the girl he'd been pining for, the center of his heroic universe, didn't just reject him. She basically told him he was too young and too emotionally volatile for her. She called him a child. Ouch. For a hero like Finn, who defines himself by his strength and maturity, or his perception of it, that was a critical hit. So, Finn is completely, utterly heartbroken. He's not just sad, he's shattered. We see him moping, crying a river of tears, just completely lost in the aftermath of that rejection. And this is where Jake, the best big brother in the entire land of Ooh, steps in. Jake can't stand seeing his little bro in this much pain. His solution, it's simple, direct, and pure. Jake, find Finn a new love interest, get him back on the horse. He believes the only way to mend a broken heart is to slap a new, better heart right on top of it. It's a bit of a blunt instrument approach to emotional recovery, but it comes from a place of deep, genuine love. Jake's mission is clear. He needs to find a girl for Finn who is, and I quote, his own age and likes him back. This mission, born from brotherly love, is what sets the entire stage for one of the most intense and significant relationships in the whole series. It's a well-intentioned plan that is about to go spectacularly, chaotically, and wonderfully wrong. Jake's quest leads him to a place that couldn't be more different from the sterile, orderly Candy Kingdom. He goes to the Fire Kingdom, a chaotic domain of magma, ash, and incandescent beings. And it's here that we are first introduced to the object of his search, Flame Princess. Now, you have to understand, Flame Princess isn't just another princess waiting in a castle. She is a primal force of nature. She is literally made of fire, a volatile, powerful elemental being whose emotions directly correlate with her destructive capabilities. When she's happy, she glows. When she's angry, cities could burn. Her backstory is just heartbreaking. Her own father, the Flame King, deemed her too powerful and emotionally unstable to control. So, what did he do? He locked his own daughter away from birth. She spent her entire life imprisoned inside a giant glass lantern in the main chamber of the palace, a living flame contained and isolated, able to see the world but never touch it, never interact with it. Can you even imagine that kind of loneliness? She's not evil, as her father claims. She's just a teenager with immense power and zero experience in how to handle her own emotions because she was never given the chance to learn. She is, in every sense, the polar opposite of Princess Bubblegum. PB is all about science, control, and calculated decisions. Flame Princess is pure, unfiltered emotion and chaotic energy. She is a walking, talking, burning metaphor for passion itself. So, Jake, in his infinite wisdom, goes to the Flame King and basically asks for his evil daughter's hand for his brother. The Flame King, seeing a chance to get this supposed time bomb out of his kingdom and maybe cause some chaos for the good guys, agrees. And this leads to their very first meeting. It's not a cute, romantic encounter, it's an explosion. Flame Princess, freed from her lantern for the first time in her life, is unleashed upon She's a whirlwind of confusion, curiosity, and destructive power, and Finn is still a complete emotional wreck. He's lying in the woods, literally crying his eyes out over PB. Jake brings this incandescent, fiery girl to him, and their eyes meet. For Finn, it's like seeing the sun for the first time after a lifetime of darkness. She is bright, she is dangerous, she is new, and most importantly, she is not Princess Bubblegum. He sees this chaotic, beautiful force of nature, and his broken, mopey brain just short-circuits. All the sadness, all the heartbreak, it's momentarily burned away by her sheer presence. And in that moment of stunned silence, with the forest probably smoldering around them, Finn turns to Jake and delivers one of the most honest, impulsive lines in the entire show. He just says, "Dude, I think I have a crush." Let's just pause and unpack that line for a second. Dude, I think I have a crush. It's so simple, but it's so perfect. He's just been emotionally obliterated by a princess who was cool, distant, and unattainable. And now, he's instantly captivated by a princess who is the literal embodiment of heat, passion, and raw power. This isn't a calculated decision, it's a gut reaction. It's the theme of rebound in its purest form. He's not looking for a stable, healthy relationship to build over time. He's a heartbroken kid looking for something, anything, to make him feel alive again. And what's more alive than fire? This new crush is a spark in the darkness of his heartbreak, a sudden, brilliant flash of light that promises to burn away all the pain. Of course, a crush is one thing. An actual relationship is something else entirely, which we see in their first real interaction in the episode Hot to the Touch. This is where the reality of their situation comes crashing down. Finn, now fully committed to his new crush, wants to get to know her. He wants to do all the normal things you do with someone you like, talk, hang out, hold hands. But there's a problem, a very, very big problem. He's a hero made of flesh, blood, and water. She is a princess made of plasma and fire. They literally can't touch. The entire episode is a tragic comedy of errors. Every time Finn tries to get close, he gets hurt. He reaches for her hand, and his own hand is instantly burned. He gets so emotional and overwhelmed that he starts to cry, and his tears fall on her, causing her immense pain and almost extinguishing her flame. They are like two magnets of the same polarity, desperately wanting to connect but constantly being pushed apart by the very laws of their own nature. It's a physical, tangible representation of the phrase, opposites attract, but it also shows the inherent danger in that attraction. And this, right here, is the central metaphor for their entire relationship. Their inability to touch without hurting each other isn't just a physical quirk, it's the perfect symbol for their entire dynamic. Their love is passionate, all-consuming, and incredibly intense, but it is also, by its very nature, destructive and painful. He is a hero of, sworn to protect its citizens. She is a being of immense destructive potential who struggles to control her own power. His calm, heroic nature is constantly tested by her emotional volatility. Her desire for freedom and acceptance is constantly challenged by his world of rules and order. They are drawn to each other because of their differences, But those same differences are what will ultimately cause them so much pain. Every moment of connection is tinged with the threat of getting burned. Flame Princess, having spent her life being told she's a monster, understands this on a level that Finn can't yet grasp. She sees the literal, physical pain she causes him and knows it's a sign of a deeper incompatibility. After Finn's tears nearly put her out, she looks at him with this profound sadness and says something that defines their entire tragic romance. She says, "Finn, even if we like each other, we're going to hurt each other." That line is everything. It's her acknowledging the fundamental, inescapable truth of their existence. It's not a maybe, it's not a possibility, it is a guarantee. She knows that their very natures are in conflict. She's not being cruel or distant, she's being realistic. She is trying to protect him, and maybe herself, from the inevitable pain that she believes their relationship will cause. She has accepted her nature as something dangerous, and she sees their connection as a fire that will eventually consume them both. But Finn. Well, Finn is Finn. He's a hero. He doesn't back down from a challenge. He sees an obstacle, and his first instinct is to punch it, climb it, or find a way around it. He hears her words. He feels the literal burns on his skin, but he doesn't see an impossible barrier. He sees a quest. He sees a problem to be solved. He is so captivated by her, so desperate to feel something other than the lingering pain from PB, that he's willing to ignore all the warning signs. This leads to the chapter's closing, a perfect encapsulation of Finn's romantic, naive, and headstrong personality. Flame Princess, seeing his refusal to give up, is baffled. She looks at this boy who is willing to endure physical pain just to be near her, and she asks him, with genuine astonishment, "You would defy nature for me." She's asking if he's really willing to fight against the fundamental laws of their universe, against the very elements they are made of, just for her. And Finn's response is the most pure, heartfelt, and hilariously simple answer he could possibly give. He just shrugs it off with a casual, yeah? What? 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 He says it like it's the most obvious thing in the world. Defy nature. Fight against the elemental makeup of the cosmos. Sure, why not? What's the big deal? In that one moment, Finn makes his choice. He is consciously deciding to pursue this passionate, painful, and potentially destructive relationship. He is choosing to get burned. He doesn't understand the full weight of what he's promising, but his heart is in the right place. He sees a girl who has been told her whole life that she's a monster, and instead of running away, he runs toward her, ready to face the flames. This is the official beginning of Finn and Flame Princess, a romance born from heartbreak, defined by pain, and fueled by a desperate, beautiful, and ultimately doomed passion. Alright, so let's get into it. After the whole messy business with Finn getting his heart broken, and then, finding a potential new love in the most literally fiery person imaginable, things start to get complicated. But before we get to the drama, we get this beautiful, quiet little moment. It's the honeymoon phase, the part of a new relationship where everything feels possible and every little discovery about the other person is a treasure. For Finn and Flame Princess, this phase takes the form of, what else? Building a house. Think about that for a second. Building a home together. It's such a powerful symbol, isn't it? It's about creating a shared space, a foundation for a future. And for these two, it's also a practical necessity. Flame Princess can't exactly hang out in the tree fort, setting fire to everything Finn owns. So, they find this spot, a little rocky island in the middle of a lake, and they start to build. It's this incredibly sweet and telling sequence. Finn, ever the enthusiastic hero, is hauling these massive fireproof rocks, stacking them up. He's all in, 100%. He's not just building a house for his new girlfriend, he's building a monument to his new feelings. This is his way of showing he's serious, that he's willing to do the work to make this relationship, well, work. And Flame Princess. You have to remember where she's coming from. She spent her entire life locked in a lantern, told she's evil and destructive. She's probably never had a friend, let alone a boyfriend. So, watching her during this scene is fascinating. She's cautious, almost shy. She's learning what it means to interact with someone who isn't her father or a guard. When Finn hands her a rock, she sort of melts it a little. It's an accident, a reflex. But Finn doesn't get mad. He doesn't recoil. He just laughs it off, this big, goofy grin on his face. And in that moment, you see something click for her. This person isn't afraid of her. He accepts this fundamental, fiery part of her being. She starts to help, using her own flames to weld rocks together, shaping their new home with the very power she's been taught to fear. They're learning about each other's strengths and weaknesses, literally building around them. It's a perfect picture of their early romance. Innocent, a little clumsy, but full of genuine effort and affection. It's the calm before the storm. And oh boy, is there a storm coming. Its name is Princess Bubblegum. Now, we have to talk about PB. Her reaction to Finn's new relationship is one of the most complex and debated things in the whole series. Is it jealousy? Is it genuine concern? The truth is, it's a messy, sticky, bubblegum pink mix of both. From her perspective, she's the scientist ruler of Ooh. Her job, her entire identity, is built around protecting her people and her kingdom from existential threats. And Flame Princess isn't just a girl with a crush. She's a fundamental element of nature, a being of immense and unstable power. So, Jake, being the good brother he is, zips over to the Candy Kingdom to get PB's take on the new couple. He finds her in her lab, of course, doing some intense science. And when he tells her about Finn and Flame Princess, her reaction isn't, "Oh, that's nice. It's a 5-alarm fire drill." She pulls up schematics of the planet, complex equations, and thermal readings. She explains, with this chilling scientific detachment, that Flame Princess is more dangerous than anyone realizes. And then she drops the bombshell, the line that really sets everything in motion. She looks Jake dead in the eye and says, that romantic stimulation could make her so unstable she might burn through the planet's crust. Let's unpack that. She's not just saying they might have a bad breakup. She is saying that the simple act of them falling in love, the emotional highs, the passion, the kissing, could literally trigger a chain reaction that melts the planet from the inside out. It's an apocalyptic level threat. To Bubblegum, this isn't about feelings, it's about physics. It's a problem to be solved, a variable to be controlled. She sees Finn's love as a catalyst for global destruction. And when you're a princess who has fought cosmic horrors and ancient evils, you don't take that kind of threat lightly. But here's the thing. Jake doesn't hear a scientist, he hears an ex. He sees a girl who had Finn wrapped around her little finger for years, who never really returned his feelings, and who is now suddenly very interested in his love life the second he moves on. Can you blame him? The timing is incredibly suspicious. Jake's mind immediately filters PB's scientific jargon through the lens of romance and jealousy. He sees all the complex charts and dire warnings as a ridiculously over-the-top way of saying, I don't like his new girlfriend. He translates planetary destruction to, she's jelly. This misinterpretation is absolutely crucial. Jake, with the best of intentions, goes back to Finn and plants this seed of doubt. He tells Finn that Bubblegum is just jealous, that she can't stand to see him happy with someone else. And Finn, who is still nursing the wounds of PB's rejection, is all too ready to believe it. This is the wedge that drives Finn and Bubblegum apart, turning her legitimate, if poorly communicated, concern into a personal attack in Finn's mind. This all leads to one of the most important confrontations in Finn's emotional journey. Fueled by Jake's assessment and his own swirling feelings of hurt and newfound happiness, Finn storms into Castle Lemongrab, where Bubblegum is trying to contain another crisis. He's not there to listen to reason or scientific explanations. He's there for a final emotional showdown. He's there to close the book. The air is thick with tension. PB is trying to explain the science, the danger, but Finn just cuts right through it. He's done with her logic, with her emotional distance. He needs her to understand his side, the heart side. And then he says it, the words that have been stuck in his throat for years. I was in love with you, okay, and you didn't love me back. Now I'm ready to move on. Man, just feel the weight of that. For seasons, we watched Finn pine after her, doing anything to win her approval, to get just a crumb of affection. And here he is, finally saying it all out loud. He's not asking for her love anymore. He's stating a fact, a piece of his own history that he is now officially putting behind him. It's a huge moment of growth for him. He's taking control of his own narrative, his own heart. For bubblegum, you can see the shock on her face. Did she know? Did she really understand the depth of his feelings? Maybe not, but she understands now. It's a painful, awkward, but utterly necessary moment that redefines their entire relationship. He's no longer her lovelorn champion, he's his own man, in love with someone else. Riding the emotional high of this confrontation, feeling free and validated, Finn rushes back to Flame Princess. He feels like he's conquered his past. He's ready for the future. He finds her by the house they were building, and the mood is electric. He tells her he's over bubblegum, that he's all hers. And then, it happens, their first real kiss. It's a moment we've been waiting for, the culmination of all this romantic tension. But it's not a fairy tale ending. The second their lips touch, all of bubblegum's warnings, all of her scientific predictions, come true in the most catastrophic way possible. The emotional energy is too much. Flame Princess overheats, her body becoming a super concentrated point of thermal energy. The ground beneath her gives way. It doesn't just crack, it liquefies. She begins to drill down into the earth, a human meteor boring a path straight toward the planet's core. Steam and molten rock erupt from the crater she leaves behind. It's a disaster. The very act of love and affection that Finn was celebrating has triggered the exact apocalypse bubblegum warned him about. The world is literally falling apart around them because of their kiss. It's a devastating, terrifying consequence, a brutal lesson that in the world of feelings can have very real, very dangerous physical repercussions. But this is where you see who Finn the hero really is. The ground is shaking, the lake is boiling, and his girlfriend is plummeting to the center of the earth. A lesser person might run. A lesser person might think, wow, bubblegum was right, this is a terrible idea. But not Finn. Without a single second of hesitation, he looks down into that terrifying, steaming abyss, and he dives in after her. He dives headfirst into the danger, into the very core of the problem. This act is everything. It's more than just a rescue mission. It's a profound statement of commitment. He's not scared off by her power. He's not deterred by the consequences. He's showing her, and us, that he is all in. He accepts her, fire, danger, world-drilling power, and all. He's willing to go through the crust of the planet for her. And as he falls into the darkness to save her, their relationship is forged anew, not in the sweet naivety of building a house, but in the crucible of shared disaster and unwavering commitment. Alright, so let's talk about the first real, major crack in the foundation of Finn and Flame Princess's relationship. Up until this point, things have been, well, as normal as they can be for a human hero and a being made of pure destructive fire. It's been about the thrill of the forbidden, the sweetness of a first crush, the physical pain of trying to hug. But in the episode Vault of Bones, we get our first deep, unsettling look at the fundamental incompatibility that will eventually doom them. This episode, my friend, is where the seeds of control are planted, and it's a masterclass in foreshadowing. It all starts from a place of insecurity, but not from Finn. It's from Flame Princess. She's wrestling with her very nature. Remember, her entire life has been a lesson in suppression. Her father locked her in a lantern because he was terrified of her power, constantly labeling her as evil. Now, she's out in the world, in a relationship with the greatest hero in and that label is haunting her. She's terrified that she actually is evil, that her destructive impulses are a core part of her identity that she can't escape. You can see the genuine fear and confusion in her eyes. She wants to be good, especially for Finn, but she doesn't know how. And this is where Finn, with the best intentions in the world, makes his first critical mistake. He sees her distress, and his hero complex kicks into overdrive. His solution, take her on an adventure, let's go dungeon crawling. It's his answer to everything, right? Bad day. Dungeon. Feeling sad. Dungeon. Existential crisis about your elemental nature. Dungeon. This leads to a really telling exchange that sets the entire tone for the episode. Flame Princess, full of doubt, asks him, let's go have a good time in a dungeon or something, and that'll make me good. It's such a vulnerable question. She's literally asking if performing this activity, this good guy ritual, will magically change her essence. And Finn's response is the key to this whole mess. He says, no, that'll show you not to worry so much, because you're already good in here, and he points to her heart. Now, on the surface, that sounds incredibly sweet and reassuring, doesn't it? He's telling her that her core self, her soul, is good. But let's dig into the subtext, because it's massive. What he's really saying is, your feelings and your essence are good, but your actions and instincts are the problem. So, let's go do things my way, the good way, to prove that the good part of you is in charge. He's creating a divide between who she is and how she acts, and appointing himself the teacher for the latter. He doesn't see that her actions and her nature are intrinsically linked. He's not accepting her. He's trying to remold her into a shape that fits his definition of a hero. So, they enter the dungeon, and this is where Finn's well-intentioned guidance quickly curdles into straight-up micromanagement. It's almost painful to watch. Every single encounter, Finn is there, coaching her, or more accurately, commanding her. They run into some skeletons. Flame Princess's first instinct, naturally, is to just blast them with a wave of fire. It's efficient, it's what she does. But Finn immediately stops her. No, 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 that's not how heroes do it. You gotta use your fists. Punch them. He wants her to fight like him. He's not trying to help her refine her own skills. He's trying to replace her skills with his. Think about how insane that is for a moment. He's telling a being made of living flame, whose primary power is projecting intense heat and fire, to engage in hand-to-hand combat with a pile of bones. It makes no tactical sense. It's like telling a bird to forget flying and learn to dig burrows. But to Finn, the method is what matters. The heroic method is physical, direct, and, most importantly, his method. It keeps happening. In another room, she wants to burn a door down. He stops her. He insists they look for a key. When they're fighting more skeletons, he's literally yelling instructions at her from the sidelines. Use your fists. No, your other fists. No, not like that. He's treating her less like a partner and more like a video game character he's controlling. He's so focused on forcing her into his good guy template that he completely fails to see the person right in front of him. He's not celebrating her strengths. He's treating them like flaws that need to be corrected. He's so caught up in the idea of making her good that he's making her feel completely inadequate. And this, as you can imagine, builds and builds until Flame Princess just can't take it anymore. She finally snaps. It's not a huge, fiery explosion, but a quiet, sharp, and utterly heartbreaking confrontation. She turns to him, her voice laced with frustration and hurt, and delivers one of the most important lines in their entire arc. She says, "You keep wanting me to do things your way, but I don't like doing things your way. Is that because I am evil? Just let that sink in." He has pushed her so far, made her feel so wrong for simply being herself, that she has circled right back to her original fear. In her mind, the equation has become terrifyingly simple. Finn's way's to good. My way's not Finn's way, therefore my way's to Giddle. He set out to prove to her that she was good, but through his controlling behavior, he has accidentally reinforced her deepest insecurity. He has made his love and approval conditional on her ability to suppress her own nature and mimic his. It's a devastating moment, and it's the first time she really, truly stands up for her own identity within the relationship. This is the climax of the episode's emotional conflict. Finn is completely taken aback. You can see it on his face. He genuinely didn't realize what he was doing. He was so blinded by his own rigid heroic code that he couldn't see the damage he was causing. For the first time, he's forced to confront the fact that his help is actually hurting her. So, what does he do? He backs off. In the final room of the dungeon, they face a giant, seemingly invincible skeleton warrior. Finn tries his way punching, kicking, sword swinging, and it does absolutely nothing. He's totally ineffective. And in that moment of failure, he finally lets go. He turns to Flame Princess and essentially says, "Okay, you try." And what happens? She does it her way. She doesn't just throw a random fireball. She uses her powers with intelligence and creativity. She melts the gold coins in the room, creating a giant, molten gold monster that fights the skeleton for her. It's brilliant. It's powerful. It's uniquely her. She solves the problem in a way Finn never could have imagined, by embracing her nature instead of fighting it. They defeat the boss, get the treasure, and in the short term, everything seems resolved. Finn learned a lesson about letting her be herself, and she got a much-needed boost of confidence. They share a tender moment, touching through a suit of armor, and it feels like a victory. But here's why this episode is so critical. That resolution is only temporary. This isn't just a one-off lover's spat in a dungeon. This is the blueprint for their breakup. Vault of Bones lays the entire conflict of their relationship bare. It establishes, with perfect clarity, that Finn doesn't truly accept Flame Princess for who she is. He loves the idea of her. He loves the good he sees inside her, but he is deeply uncomfortable with her elemental nature. His instinct is not to understand and adapt, but to control and change. This episode is the ultimate piece of foreshadowing. The core problem, Finn's controlling tendencies born from his simplistic hero morality, doesn't go away after this. It festers. He may have learned a small lesson here, but the underlying impulse remains. He will continue to try and manage her, to cool her down, to mold her into a safer, more predictable version of herself that fits neatly into his world. And Flame Princess, having found her voice here, will continue to push back, to assert her own identity. This exact dynamic, his need for control versus her need for acceptance, is what will eventually lead to the lies, the manipulation with Ice King, and the final, fiery end of their romance. It all started right here, in a dusty old dungeon, with a well-intentioned hero trying to teach his girlfriend how to throw a punch. Alright, let's sit down and talk about this one. Because if we're going to talk about Finn's biggest mistakes, his most painful romantic failures, then we have to talk about Frost and Fire. This isn't just a breakup episode. It's a character study in how even a hero can be profoundly selfish, and how the desire for excitement can lead to devastating emotional cruelty. This is the story of how Finn single-handedly destroyed his relationship with Flame Princess, and honestly, it's hard to watch. It all starts in a place that seems pretty innocent, Finn's dreams. You know Finn, right? He's all about action, adventure, and epic battles. So, naturally, his subconscious starts cooking up the most awesome fight imaginable. He begins having these incredibly vivid, recurring dreams where Flame Princess and the Ice King are locked in this spectacular elemental war. Imagine it from his perspective. You've got fireballs versus ice shards, molten lava streams against blizzard winds. It's a raw, powerful, and, for a kid like Finn, an unbelievably cool spectacle. The dream is pure, unfiltered action, and he loves it. He wakes up from these dreams, energized, pumped up, telling Jake all about the sick battle he just witnessed in his head. But here's where the problem begins. It stops being just a cool dream and morphs into an obsession. He doesn't just enjoy it when it happens. He starts actively wanting it. He craves it. He wants to see this incredible clash of opposites in real life. The line between a fun fantasy and a tangible desire completely blurs. He's no longer thinking about Flame Princess, his girlfriend, the person he's supposed to care for and protect. He's not thinking about the Ice King, the lonely, sad old man he sometimes pities. He's thinking of them as action figures, as characters in his personal blockbuster movie. He wants the entertainment, the thrill, the gratification of seeing his dream made real, and he completely loses sight of the fact that these are real people with real feelings and a real, painful history. This obsession is the seed of the entire disaster. It's a purely selfish desire, born from his immaturity and his constant need for stimulation. And when Finn wants something, he doesn't always think through the consequences of how he gets it. This time, his method is nothing short of despicable. He decides that if the fight won't happen naturally, he'll just have to orchestrate it himself. He's going to become a puppet master, pulling the strings of his girlfriend and his sort of nemesis to get the show he wants. This is where we get into the actual manipulation, and it is just chillingly calculated. Finn knows he can't just ask them to fight. That would be ridiculous. So, he comes up with a plan to stoke the flames of animosity between them. He decides to write fake letters. He sits down and writes a letter from the Ice King to Flame Princess, designed to do nothing but provoke her. Then, he does the reverse, writing a fake response from her to the Ice King. He creates a fake pen pal feud, a manufactured conflict, all so he can sit back and watch the fireworks. Think about the level of betrayal that requires. He is actively, consciously deceiving the person he is in a relationship with. He's not just lying by omission, He is fabricating evidence, impersonating people, and intentionally trying to make his girlfriend angry and upset. He's using his knowledge of their personalities against them. He knows Ice King is lonely and desperate for any kind of interaction, and he knows Flame Princess has a volatile temper and a deep-seated insecurity about her own nature. He's not just poking the bear, he's building a whole fake narrative to ensure the bear goes on a rampage, and the content of the letters. It's just so cruel. The one he writes to Flame Princess, pretending to be the Ice King, is a masterclass in psychological warfare. He doesn't just write, "Hey, I want to fight you." No, he goes straight for the jugular. He attacks her on a deeply personal level. He writes, and you can just feel the cringe as he does it. "Dear Flame Princess, you're just the worst. Your hair is bad." Let's unpack that for a second. Why is that so devastating? Because Finn, more than anyone, knows Flame Princess's deepest insecurities. He knows her entire life has been a struggle against the belief that she is inherently evil and destructive. Her own father locked her away because he was afraid of her power and convinced she was a force of pure evil. When Finn writes, "You're just the worst," he's echoing the single most toxic and damaging message she has ever received. He is reinforcing her greatest fear about herself, and the "your hair is bad" part. It sounds childish, but it's a targeted insult meant to sound like the kind of petty nonsense the Ice King would say, making the letter more believable while also being a direct, personal jab. He is using the intimate knowledge he gained from their relationship, the vulnerabilities she shared with him in moments of trust, as ammunition. He weaponizes her trauma for his own entertainment. It is a profound, unforgivable violation of the trust she placed in him. Before the whole thing goes down, Finn gets one final warning from the universe itself. He has the dream again, the one with the big fight. But this time, there's a guest star, the Cosmic Owl. Now, as you know, the Cosmic Owl is a huge deal. He doesn't just show up for any old dream. His appearance signifies a prophetic dream, a glimpse into something real and cosmically significant. He's a harbinger of fate. His presence is a giant, flashing, universal stop sign. And as Finn watches the dream fight unfold, the Cosmic Owl turns to him, looks him dead in the eye, and delivers one of the most chillingly simple prophecies in the whole series. He just says, "You blew it." That's it. 2 words, "You blew it." It's not a complex riddle, it's a blunt statement of fact from a cosmic entity. This is Finn's last chance to turn back. It's his conscience, the voice of reason, the wisdom of the cosmos, all screaming at him to stop what he's doing. But is he listening? Nope. He's too caught up in the hype. The fight he engineered is about to happen in the real world. He's so blinded by his own selfish excitement that he dismisses the cosmic warning. He literally sees his fate spelled out for him and chooses to ignore it, rushing headlong into the disaster he created. And so, the climax arrives. The fight happens. And, to be fair to Finn's twisted vision, it is epic. Flame Princess, enraged by the letter, confronts the Ice King. It's a massive, destructive battle that tears up the landscape. Fire and ice collide. And Finn is there, watching from the sidelines with Jake, eating popcorn, literally treating the emotional turmoil and physical danger of his girlfriend as a spectator sport. He got exactly what he wanted, but the thrill is short-lived, because once the dust settles, the truth starts to unravel. Ice King and Flame Princess are both confused, realizing they were manipulated. Of course, everyone's first suspect is the Ice King. But then Finn, finally crushed by the weight of his guilt, can't take it anymore. The fun is over, and all that's left is the sick feeling in his stomach. He steps forward. You can see the shame written all over his face as he prepares to detonate his own relationship. He looks at Flame Princess, the girl he manipulated, the girl whose deepest insecurities he just exploited for a cheap thrill, and he confesses, "No, Princess, I'm the one who's sorry. It's been me all along." The silence that follows that confession is deafening. In that one moment, everything shatters. Flame Princess's anger at the Ice King just evaporates, replaced by a look of pure, hollow shock. The realization washes over her. It wasn't some enemy, it wasn't a misunderstanding. The person who hurt her, who played with her emotions, who used her trauma against her, was the person who was supposed to love her. The one person she had finally started to trust in this world. And her reaction is what makes this scene so powerful. She doesn't scream. She doesn't explode in a fiery rage, which is what we might expect. She just goes quiet. Her flames dim. She looks at him, and you can see the trust just draining from her eyes. It's a look of utter and complete betrayal. That silence is so much more devastating than any angry outburst could ever be. It's the sound of a heartbreaking. It's the quiet, cold finality of an ended relationship. Without another word, she turns her back on him and walks away, leaving Finn standing alone in the wreckage he so eagerly created. This is, without a doubt, Finn's greatest romantic failure. It's not a mutual breakup or a simple mistake. It's a deep moral failing. He showed a side of himself that was manipulative, selfish, and incredibly cruel. He treated people he cared about as objects for his own amusement. He proved, in that moment, that he was not mature enough for the love and trust Flame Princess had given him. He didn't just lose a girlfriend. He betrayed a friend and proved that his own desire for a cheap thrill was more important than her feelings, her security, and her trust. He blew it. The cosmic owl was right, and it's a mistake that will haunt him for a very, very long time. Alright, so let's talk about the fallout. Because after a blow-up like the one at the end of Frostfire, there's always fallout. You can't just put that genie back in the bottle. Finn, our hero, the kid who always wins, has just lost. And what's worse, he knows deep down that he absolutely, 100% caused it. This is new territory for him. He's fought monsters, ancient evils, the literal lich. But how do you fight a mistake? How do you punch a feeling of gut-wrenching guilt? The short answer is, you can't. And Finn's journey through this heartbreak is one of the most painfully real and important arcs in the entire series. So, what's his immediate reaction? What does any kid do when faced with an overwhelming, awful feeling they don't know how to process? They ignore it. They pretend it isn't happening. We see Finn go into this state of aggressive denial. He throws himself back into hero business with a frantic energy, trying to fill every waking second with distractions so he doesn't have to think. It's all about adventure, quests, and punching stuff. Anything to avoid the quiet moments where the memory of Flame Princess's face, that look of pure betrayal, can creep back in. He's trying to outrun his own heart, but as we all know, that's a race you never win. The guilt is there, simmering under the surface, a hot coal in his stomach that he's desperately trying to smother with mindless action. But it's still burning. This brings us to a really pivotal episode, Too Old. It starts off feeling like a classic Adventure Time romp. Princess Bubblegum needs Finn's help on a mission to the Lemon Kingdom. Now, think about this from Finn's perspective. This is perfect. It's a return to form, right? Hanging with PB, his first big crush, going on a dangerous mission. It's familiar, it's comfortable, and most importantly, it's a fantastic distraction from the girl who is currently a walking, talking inferno of rage because of him. He probably jumps at the chance, thinking this is exactly what he needs to get his mind off things. They travel to the Lemon Kingdom, and it's just as creepy and unsettling as you remember. The sterile environment, the screaming, the sheer oppressive weirdness of the place. They're there to check on the Earls of Lemongrab, and things go south fast. We see the two Earls in a state of total dysfunction, and it culminates in this horrifying moment where Lemongrab 2 literally eats Lemongrab 1. It's classic Adventure Time body horror, but pay attention to the character dynamics here. Princess Bubblegum, the scientist, the creator, steps in. She's calm, authoritative, and she handles this deeply disturbing situation with a kind of maternal firmness. She reassembles the shattered candy people, she takes control. And Finn, he just watches. And this is the moment, this is where the distraction fails. He's standing there, watching the woman he used to be obsessed with, the one he wrote psalms about and dreamed of, and he feels nothing. Not in a bad way, but the romantic charge is just gone. He sees her not as a prize to be won or a damsel to be saved, but as a leader, a friend, a brilliant and capable person who is fully in her element. He's not jealous of her power or pining for her attention. He's just grown past it. It's like looking at a photo from when you were a little kid and barely recognizing yourself. That chapter of his life is closed. And, with that clarity, with the fog of his old crush finally lifted, what rushes in to fill the void? The truth. The horrible, painful, unavoidable truth about Flame Princess. The distraction has backfired spectacularly. Instead of making him forget, it has given him the exact perspective he needed to understand the true scale of his screw-up. He looks at PB, this mature, complex person, and realizes that FP is a complex person too. Not just some new girlfriend or a rebound, but a real person with real feelings that he has trampled all over. As they're riding the train back, the weight of it all finally crashes down on him. Princess Bubblegum, perceptive as ever, asks him what's wrong. And Finn, his voice small, finally admits it, not just to her, but to himself. He says, "I'm saying I think I really sponked up." Let's just sit with that line for a second. I really sponked up. It's not a dramatic, tearful confession. It's quiet. It's understated. And that's what makes it so powerful. It's the sound of denial finally cracking. The realization has fully landed. He didn't just make a small mistake. He fundamentally broke something precious because he was being a selfish, manipulative kid. He traded a real, mature relationship for a cheap thrill and a chance to live out a fantasy. And now, having just seen how far he's come from his crush on PB, he understands exactly what he's lost with FP. The irony is just crushing. He finally grew up enough to get over his old crush, only to realize he wasn't grown up enough to handle the real relationship that came next. The coal in his stomach isn't simmering anymore. It's a full-blown fire of guilt. So what happens when the denial shatters, but you're still not ready to face the pain? You find a bigger, better, more all-consuming distraction. You find the dungeon train. The episode Dungeon Train is, without a doubt, one of the most brilliant metaphors for unhealthy coping mechanisms I've ever seen in any show, let alone a kid's show. Finn discovers this train that just goes forever. And every car is a new dungeon with new monsters to fight and new loot to collect. It's literally an endless, mindless grind. It's a video game brought to life, and for Finn, it's paradise. Why? Because it requires zero emotional engagement. It's pure action. Fight, win, get loot, move to the next car. Repeat. There's no time to think. No time to feel. No room for guilt or regret or heartbreak. You can see the addiction take hold almost immediately. Jake is with him, and at first, he's into it. But he quickly sees the dark side. He sees Finn's eyes glaze over. Finn gets this manic, desperate energy, chanting, "This is the best," over and over, trying to convince himself as much as anyone else. He's not having fun. He's numbing himself. He's replacing the complex, messy pain of real life with the simple, satisfying feedback loop of a game. Each monster he defeats, each shiny new piece of loot he acquires, is a tiny hit of dopamine that keeps the bigger, scarier feelings at bay. Look at the progression. He starts getting cooler and cooler stuff, glowing swords, awesome armor, but none of it matters. The loot is meaningless. It's just a marker of progress in a game that has no end and no purpose. He's just running in place, emotionally speaking. He's offered the ultimate escape, a crystal sword that will let him stay on the train forever, fighting and looting for eternity. He can just check out of his life completely. And for a terrifying moment, you think he's going to take it. Because who wouldn't be tempted by an offer to just turn off the pain? But this is where his bond with Jake saves him. Jake, his brother, his anchor to reality, refuses to let him go. He sees Finn for what he is, a kid who is lost in his own grief and running from himself. Jake's love and concern finally break through the fog. Finn makes the choice to get off the train. It's a huge moment. It's him finally turning around to face the monster, instead of just running to the next train car. He's not healed, not by a long shot, but he's decided to stop running. He's decided to try and face the consequences, which leads us to earth and water. Finn is off the train, and he's ready to apologize. He's going to fix this. That's what heroes do, right? They fix things. But his approach is still so Finn. It's rooted in the idea that this is a problem that can be solved with a grand gesture. He gets a bunch of gifts, he writes a poem, and he goes to the Fire Kingdom to win her back. Let's look at that poem he writes. It's actually really revealing. It's all about his feelings. My heart is a mess, a fiery distress. My fault, my bad, now I'm sad. It's sincere, yes, but it's also incredibly self-centered. He's apologizing for how his actions made him feel. He still doesn't fully grasp the depth of the betrayal from her perspective. He doesn't understand that he didn't just hurt her feelings. He violated her trust. He used her deepest insecurities against her for a cheap thrill. He treated her like an object in his own personal fantasy. A poem and some flowers can't fix that. And while Finn has been on his emotional roller coaster of denial and distraction, Flame Princess has been on a journey of her own. She's been dealing with the return of her evil father, she's been exploring her own powers, and she's been figuring out who she is without Finn. She's been growing too. She's become more centered, more in control of her emotions. The volatile, insecure girl he manipulated is gone. In her place is a young woman who is learning to set boundaries. So when Finn shows up with his apology to her, he's met with a person who is no longer willing to be defined by their relationship. He finally gets to see her, and he pours his heart out. He reads his poem, he gives his apology. He's laid all his cards on the table, expecting, hoping that this will be enough. That she'll see he's sorry, and everything can go back to the way it was. He looks at her, his eyes full of hope, and asks the question that everything has been leading to. So, does that mean we're still going out? And Flame Princess, calm, steady, and resolute, looks right at him and delivers the single most devastating word he could possibly hear. No, just no. It's not angry, it's not vengeful, it's not emotional, it's a fact, it's a boundary, it's a consequence, and it hits Finn like a physical blow. He was prepared for her to yell, to throw fireballs, to fight him. He knows how to deal with a fight. But he has no idea how to deal with this quiet, unshakable finality. This is the lesson of the chapter. This is the ember of heartbreak that will glow inside him for a long, long time. He learns that sorry isn't a magic spell. It doesn't erase the past. It doesn't automatically grant forgiveness or restore trust. He did something that couldn't be taken back, and now he has to live with it. There is no dungeon he can clear or monster he can slay to fix this. The only thing he can do is accept the consequences of his actions and learn to live with the guilt and the grief. It's a brutal, painful, and absolutely necessary step in his journey from being a boy hero to becoming a man. The fire of their relationship is out, and now he has to learn to live in the cold. All right, so let's talk about one of the most beautiful, strange, and heartbreaking episodes in the entire series. We're diving deep into Puhoi, an episode that feels like a fever dream wrapped in a warm blanket. To really get it, you have to remember where Finn is at this point. He's just had his heart absolutely stomped on by Flame Princess. He tried to set up this elaborate dungeon for her, this grand romantic gesture, and she completely misinterpreted it, thinking he was just testing her and toying with her emotions. She leaves him, and he is just crushed. We see him moping, completely lost in that teenage angst and heartbreak that feels like the end of the world. And what do you do when the world feels like it's ending? You build a fort. This is where Jake, being the best big brother ever, steps in. He sees Finn is in a bad way and decides the only cure is an epic, world-class pillow fort. Not just a few cushions on the couch, mind you. We're talking a massive, labyrinthine structure that takes over the entire tree fort. It's a classic kid solution to a very adult-feeling problem. When reality hurts, you build a new one. Finn, in his funk, isn't really into it at first, but Jake coaxes him in. And as Finn crawls deeper and deeper into this maze of sheets and pillows, something magical happens. He gets lost. He calls for Jake, but his voice just echoes. He tumbles down a long, kaleidoscopic tunnel of blankets and emerges somewhere else. This isn't the tree fort anymore. He's in a world made entirely of soft, quilted landscapes with pillow mountains and fluffy, stitched-together trees. He has escaped, literally. He has stumbled into a reality born from his desire to get away from his pain. And it's here, in this strange, soft world, that he meets her. Rosalina. She's a pillow person, with button eyes and a kind, stitched-on smile. She and her family find Finn, a strange meat boy who has fallen into their world. There's an immediate gentleness to their interaction. Finn, still nursing his broken heart, is cautious, but Rosalina is just so genuinely curious and kind. She's not fiery and volatile like Flame Princess, or enigmatic and distant like Princess Bubblegum. She's simple, she's sweet, and she's present. She sees this lost boy and offers him comfort. It's exactly what he needs, even if he doesn't know it yet. What happens next is a masterclass in storytelling, showing us an entire lifetime in the span of a few minutes. Finn decides to stay for a while, and a while turns into, well, forever. We see their relationship blossom in a whirlwind montage. It's a pure, uncomplicated romance. They laugh, they explore the pillow world together, and they fall deeply in love. It's not filled with the drama and cosmic stakes of his life in Ooh. It's just two people building a life. We see them get married in a charming pillow ceremony, and it feels so real, so earned. Finn, our perpetually 14-year-old hero, is now a husband. And then they have children, a son, Jay, and a daughter, Bonnie. This is where the episode really starts to bend your mind. We see Finn as a father. He plays with his kids. He teaches them things. He tucks them into their little pillow beds. He grows older. We see him with a beard, then graying hair. He's not Finn the hero anymore. He's Finn the dad. He has fully integrated into this world. His old life, the one in Ooh, starts to feel like a distant dream. This is his conflict, his quiet internal struggle. His memories of Jake, of BMO, of the tree fort, they begin to fray at the edges. He tries to tell his children stories about his adventures, but the names and faces get fuzzy. He can't quite remember what his best friend, his brother, looks like. Can you imagine that? Forgetting Jake. It's a subtle kind of horror. He has this new family that he loves with all his heart, a family that is his entire reality now. But to fully embrace them, he has to let go of everything he once was. He has to let the hero die so the father can live. It's a profound sacrifice, and he doesn't even make it consciously. It just happens, like the slow fading of a photograph left in the sun. This new life is so fulfilling and so real that it overwrites the old one. Years and years pass. Finn is an old man now, surrounded by his children and grandchildren. He has lived a full, happy life in the pillow world. He's a patriarch, a respected elder. And then, one day, it appears. A shimmering dark doorway, exactly like the one he fell through all those decades ago. The way back. The escape from his escape. The look on old Finn's face is just devastating. It's a mix of shock, joy, and absolute terror. The life he'd forgotten was real is suddenly offering him a way back. But what about the life he's living now? Is this world, his wife, his children, his entire lineage, not real? The choice is impossible. Stay here, in the world where he is loved and has built a legacy, and die of old age. Or return to the life of adventure he left behind, and in doing so, erase this entire existence. He knows what he has to do. He has to go back. It's his original world, his true home. The goodbye scene is one of the most emotionally resonant moments in the show. He gathers his family, this sprawling pillow clan that exists only because of him. He hugs his wife, Rosalina, the woman he has spent a lifetime with. She looks at him with her simple button eyes, filled with so much love and understanding, as she says the line that will just tear your heart out. Just promise me you'll remember us when you're back in your real life. It's a plea for existence. She's not just asking him to remember her. She's asking him to validate their entire life together. To make it mean something, even if he's the only one who knows it ever happened. He promises, tears in his old eyes, and steps through the portal. He tumbles back out of the pillow fort, landing on the floor of the tree fort. And just like that, he's a teenager again. No beard, no wrinkles. For a split second, you can see the weight of 100 years in his eyes. The wisdom, the love, the loss, it's all there on his face. He looks at his hands, young and unaged. He lived an entire life. He loved, he lost, he had a family. He remembers them. He kept his promise. We, the audience, feel the immensity of this experience. We just watched our hero live and grow old and say a tragic goodbye. And then BMO cheerfully calls out, "Finn, Flame Princess is on the phone." She wants to apologize. And this is the final cruel twist of the knife. The moment Finn hears her name, the name of the girl whose rejection sent him on this journey in the first place, something in his brain just clicks off. His eyes glaze over for a second. The memory is wiped clean. The entire lifetime. Rosalina, Jay, Bonnie, the marriage, the fatherhood, the heartbreaking promise, it all evaporates. It's gone. He picks up the phone, all smiles, back to being a goofy teenager, completely oblivious to the fact that he just experienced a lifetime of love and loss. The pain he was escaping is gone, and so is the beautiful life he found in that escape. So, what does it all mean? This episode is a profound meditation on escape and memory. Finn literally builds a world to hide from his feelings, and in that world, he finds a different kind of happiness, a more mature and lasting love than he'd ever known. It proves something fundamental about his character. At his core, Finn is a person with a boundless capacity to love and to build a family. Even when he's not being a hero, his instinct is to nurture and protect. The tragedy is that he doesn't get to keep the lesson. He experiences this incredible emotional growth, learns how to move on and find love after heartbreak, but the memory is erased before it can integrate into his conscious self. But we, the viewers, remember. We are the keepers of Finn's lost life. We know about Rosalina and the kids, and because we know, it wasn't for nothing. It stands as a testament to the idea that even the most fleeting, forgotten experiences shape who we are, leaving echoes in our soul even when the memory itself is gone. It's a bittersweet, beautiful, and utterly unforgettable dream. Alright, so let's get into it. We've spent so much time watching Finn grapple with romance, right? It's been this huge, all-consuming part of his journey. From the unrequited crush on Princess Bubblegum to that fiery, intense, and ultimately heartbreaking relationship with Flame Princess, his love life has been a roller coaster of epic highs and devastating lows. But here's where things get really interesting. The story starts to pivot. It's like the writers realized that for Finn to truly grow up, he couldn't just keep chasing after the next romantic conquest. He needed to understand that connection, real, meaningful connection, comes in all shapes and sizes. This chapter in his life is all about him learning that friendship, mentorship, and platonic love can be just as powerful and formative as any romance. It's about him finally rounding out his emotional education. And our first stop on this new tour of human and non-human connection is one of the coolest, most underrated characters in the whole series, Canyon. Now, to really get the weight of this, you have to remember where Finn is mentally. His hero, the legendary Billy, is dead. This isn't just some side character. Billy was Finn's idol, the guy whose poster was on his wall, the living embodiment of the heroic ideal Finn strived for. Finding him old, jaded, and then losing him was a massive blow. So, what does Finn do? In the episode Billy's Bucket List, he finds Billy's old list of unfinished deeds and decides to complete it as a tribute. It's his way of processing his grief and honoring his hero's legacy. This quest leads him straight to Canyon. She was Billy's ex-girlfriend, a fellow adventurer, a giant, powerful woman who knew Billy not as a legend, but as a person. And the way they meet is perfect. Finn is trying to cross this dangerous chasm, just like Billy once planned to, and she just shows up. She's not presented as a damsel or a new love interest. She's presented as an equal, a contemporary of the legend himself. From the moment they meet, their dynamic is completely different from anything we've seen with Finn before. Their bond forms so naturally, so beautifully, over their shared admiration for Billy. As they team up to finish the list, doing everything from riding a giant goldfish to just sitting and staring at the ocean, they talk. They share stories. Finn gets to hear about the Billy he never knew, the young, reckless, passionate hero. And in return, Canyon gets to see that same fire, that same indomitable spirit, living on in Finn. It's a connection forged not in romantic tension, but in mutual respect and shared memory. Think about that scene on the raft in the middle of the ocean. Finn is terrified of the ocean, his biggest fear, but he's out there because Billy was supposed to be. Canyon is there with him, not to save him, but to support him. She tells him stories about Billy's own fears and how he faced them. It's not a date, it's a mentorship session disguised as an adventure. She's guiding him through his grief and his fear by using the map of Billy's life. This is where Canyon's role as a mentor figure really shines. She's older, she's seen it all, and she has this calm, centered wisdom that Finn desperately needs. He's used to being the top hero, the one everyone looks to, But with Canyon, he can just be a kid learning from a veteran. And then she delivers one of the most important lines in Finn's entire development. She looks at him, really looks at him, and says, "You know, you remind me of Billy when he was young. Let's just pause and unpack that for a second." Can you imagine what that means to Finn? This isn't just a casual compliment. This is the woman who loved his ultimate hero telling him that he carries the same spark. It's a validation of his entire life's purpose. It's her saying, the legacy you're trying to honor, you're already living it. It's the passing of a torch. In that moment, Canyon isn't just Billy's ex-girlfriend. She's a bridge to Billy's spirit, confirming for Finn that he's on the right path. It's a profound moment of encouragement from someone who has zero romantic interest in him. She's helping him build his sense of self-worth from a place of heroism and character, not from whether or not a girl likes him back. And their goodbye. It's perfect. There's no awkwardness, no will they, won't they tension. They've completed the list. They've honored their friend. She turns to him and says, "I have a feeling our paths will cross again. Take care, Finn." It's so simple, so mature. It's a promise of a future friendship, a connection based on camaraderie and a shared history. It solidifies their relationship as purely platonic. For Finn, this is revolutionary. He's just had this incredibly deep, meaningful experience with a powerful woman, and it had absolutely nothing to do with romance. It was about legacy, respect, and friendship. It opens a whole new door in his mind about what relationships can be. Now, hold on to that feeling of maturity because the show is about to throw us a complete curveball in the most Adventure Time way possible. Let's talk about Breezy. The episode Breezy is one of the weirdest, most emotionally complex episodes in the middle of the series. Finn is in a dark place. He's lost his arm again. The grass arm is gone, and in its place is just a little flower. He's feeling depressed, unheroic, and his confidence is at an all-time low. He's trying to get his arm back, and in the process, he's kissing a lot of princesses, hoping one of them will have the magical mojo to make his flower arm bloom. It's a bit of a backslide, right? He's reverting to seeking validation through romantic-ish encounters. Enter Breezy, a worker bee who becomes absolutely infatuated with Finn's little flower arm. She sees it as the most beautiful, pollen-rich flower she's ever encountered, so she decides to help him. She becomes his wing bee, his little helper, creating elaborate scenarios to help him get kisses from princesses so his flower will grow. It's bizarre, it's funny, but underneath it all, Breezy is falling head over heels in love. Not necessarily with Finn the hero, but with Finn the vessel for this perfect flower. The episode culminates in this wild sequence where Finn finally gets his arm back, a full human arm, and Breezy's mission is complete. But her feelings haven't gone away. She flies up to him, her little bee heart fluttering, and confesses her love. Now, think about the old Finn. How would he have handled this? He would have panicked. He might have been cruel by accident, or tried to let her down gently in a way that was actually more hurtful, or just run away screaming. We've seen him do it all. This is a major test of his emotional growth, and he aces it. He looks at this tiny bee who has just confessed her love, and he handles it with a level of grace we have never seen from him before. He says, gently, "You know, I'm trying to keep it casual, bee. I just don't feel the same way." Let's break that down, because it is a masterclass in emotional intelligence. First, the hesitation. You know, He's thinking. He's not just blurting out a rejection. He's considering her feelings. Then, the nickname, Bee. It's friendly. It's familiar. It tells her that he still sees her as a friend, that he values the connection they had, even if it wasn't romantic for him. He's not dismissing her. And finally, the rejection itself. "I just don't feel the same way." It is clear, direct, and honest, but it's not cruel. He's not making excuses. He's not lying. He's stating his feelings simply and respectfully. He owns his emotional state without invalidating hers. This single moment is one of the most significant milestones in Finn's entire character arc. It's the culmination of all his past heartbreaks and mistakes. He learned from the pain he caused Flame Princess. He learned from his awkward fumbling with Princess Bubblegum. He's taken all that failure and synthesized it into wisdom. He now understands that you can be honest without being a jerk. You can reject someone's romantic feelings while still preserving their dignity and the friendship you shared. For a kid who used to solve every problem by punching it, this is a colossal leap. It shows he's not just growing as a hero in strength, but as a person in heart and mind. The canyon and breezy encounters, though wildly different in tone, both serve the same crucial purpose. They teach Finn that the world of relationships is far bigger and more nuanced than just finding the one. And for the first time, he's proving he's ready to navigate it. Alright, let's talk about one of the most satisfying, most emotionally mature moments in the entire series. We've been through the ringer with Finn and Flame Princess, right? From that first spark of connection to the fiery, passionate, and ultimately heartbreaking implosion of their relationship. We saw the manipulation, the dream fights, the ice-cold breakup. For a long time, it felt like a wound that never properly healed for either of them. But Adventure Time, in its infinite wisdom, knew that a story like theirs couldn't just be left hanging. It needed a proper ending, a true resolution. And we finally got it, years later, in the episode Bun Bun. This, my friend, is where their story truly finds its peace. So, let's set the scene. A significant amount of time has passed since the events of Frostfire. This isn't the same 14-year-old Finn who was so desperate for a new romance after bubblegum that he stumbled into a relationship he wasn't emotionally equipped to handle. Years have gone by. Finn has faced cosmic horrors, lost and regained his arm, again met his human mother, and navigated the complexities of his own identity. He's quieter now, more introspective. The brash, punch-first-ass questions, later kid has been tempered by experience and loss. He carries a weight, but also a wisdom that was absent in his younger years. He's a young man now, and with that comes a deeper capacity for understanding, for empathy, and for genuine self-reflection. On the other side of this, Flame Princess has also undergone a massive transformation. Remember when we first met her? Locked away in a lantern, a whirlwind of uncontrolled emotion and destructive power, defined entirely by her father's tyranny. Now, she's a ruler. She overthrew her evil dad, took control of the Flame Kingdom, and has been navigating the difficult, messy business of leadership. She's learned to control her emotions not by suppressing them, but by understanding them. She's stable, confident, and carries the quiet authority of someone who has fought for her place in the world and won. They are, for the first time, on equal footing emotionally. The reunion doesn't happen with a dramatic flourish or a fated cosmic encounter. It happens because of a goofy, sweet, and surprisingly noble cinnamon bun. You remember him, right? The half-baked, clumsy candy person from the Candy Kingdom. Well, he's had his own glow-up. He's now the loyal knight and companion to Flame Princess, serving her in the Flame Kingdom. He's found his purpose. One day, a little creature he's been caring for, Bun Bun, gets lost in the woods. Distraught, Cinnamon Bun goes to the one person he knows he can count on for a rescue mission, his old friend, Finn. So, Finn agrees. It's a simple favor. There's no ulterior motive, no grand plan to talk to Phoebe. That's Flame Princess's real name, by the way. It's just Finn being a hero, helping a friend in need. This is so important. The low-stakes nature of their meeting is what makes what happens next so genuine. It's not forced. They find Bun Bun, and as they're walking back, the moment arrives. The air isn't tense or awkward like it had been in their previous encounters post-breakup. It's calm. It's two old friends walking through a forest. And Finn, now a young man capable of looking back on his past with clear eyes, finally says what he needs to say. This is the key event, the emotional climax of their entire shared history. He stops, turns to her, and delivers one of the most sincere, fully realized apologies you will ever see in a cartoon. He says, "And I want you to really hear the weight in these words. When we broke up, I said sorry, but I didn't fully understand exactly what I did wrong. I get it now. I shouldn't have manipulated you, and I'm truly sorry." Let's just pause and break that down, because every single word there is loaded with years of growth. Think back to their breakup. Finn did say sorry then, but what did it mean? It was the sorry of a kid who got caught doing something wrong. It was a panicked apology aimed at fixing the problem, at stopping her from being angry, at getting things back to the way they were. It was selfish. He was sorry for the consequences he was facing, not for the action he took. He didn't understand the fundamental violation of trust he had committed. He didn't get that pitting her against Ice King in his dream, manipulating her emotions for his own gratification was a profound betrayal. Now, listen to this new apology. I didn't fully understand exactly what I did wrong. That's accountability. That is him admitting his own ignorance, his own emotional immaturity at the time. He's not making excuses, he's providing context for his own growth. Then comes the core of it. I get it now. I shouldn't have manipulated you. He names the crime. He doesn't soften it. He doesn't say I shouldn't have tricked you or I shouldn't have set up that fight. He uses the precise, cutting word, manipulated. He is taking full ownership of the worst part of his actions. He's acknowledging that he treated her like a tool for his own emotional validation, not as a person with her own feelings and agency. And finally, and I'm truly sorry, the truly says it all. This isn't the hollow apology of the past. This is remorse. It's the sorrow that comes from empathy, from being able to put himself in her shoes and feel the hurt he caused. Flame Princess's response is just as perfect and just as mature. She doesn't dredge up the past. She doesn't make him grovel. She simply looks at the person in front of her, sees the genuine change, and accepts it. She gives him a small, genuine smile and says, "You've grown up a lot, man. I forgive you. You've grown up a lot, man." With that one sentence, she validates his entire journey. She sees him not as the boy who hurt her, but as the man he has become. The casual man at the end is brilliant. It's not romantic or formal. It's the language of friendship, of equals. And then, the two most powerful words, "I forgive you." This isn't just for Finn's benefit. Forgiveness is an act of release for the person giving it, too. By forgiving him, she is letting go of the last remnants of that pain, closing the book on that chapter of her life. She is freeing herself as much as she is freeing him. This moment is the true conclusion of their romantic story. It's not about them getting back together. That ship has long sailed, and frankly, they've both grown into people who are no longer compatible in that way. Instead, this is about transforming that failed romance into something healthy and enduring. All the lingering bitterness, the unresolved hurt, the awkwardness, it all dissolves in that one honest exchange. What's left is a solid friendship built on a foundation of something much stronger than teenage infatuation, mutual respect, and a deep shared understanding. They can finally be in each other's lives as friends, as allies, without the ghost of their messy past haunting them. It's the ultimate lesson in personal growth. It shows us that you can make terrible mistakes, you can hurt people you care about, but if you are willing to do the hard work of looking inward, of understanding your failings, and of taking true accountability, you can find your way to forgiveness and closure. It's not just an ending, it's a beautiful, mature, and hopeful new beginning. Alright, let's talk about a real game changer in Finn's life. After the emotional whirlwind with Flame Princess and the long, drawn-out saga of his crush on Princess Bubblegum, you might think you have a handle on Finn's romantic patterns. He either falls hard and fast into a fiery, chaotic mess, or he pines after someone who is, for one reason or another, completely unattainable. But then, almost out of nowhere, a new figure walks into his life. Or rather, she materializes from the very woods themselves. I'm talking, of course, about Huntress Wizard. She isn't a princess. She isn't royalty. She isn't someone who needs saving. She is, for lack of a better word, a force of nature, and her arrival marks one of the most significant pivots in Finn's entire emotional journey. She's not just another love interest, she represents a whole new kind of relationship, one built on a foundation of mutual respect and a quiet, almost spiritual understanding. This isn't about grand gestures or dramatic confessions. It's about two kindred spirits recognizing each other in the wild. Their first meeting in the episode Flute Spell is just so perfectly understated, and that's what makes it brilliant. We find Finn in a really interesting place here. He's just being. He's sitting by a river playing a soft, melancholic tune on his flute. He's not trying to impress anyone. He's not on a quest. He's just expressing a feeling through music. It's a moment of pure, unself-conscious creation. And then she appears. Huntress Wizard doesn't crash through the trees or announce her presence. She simply emerges, drawn by the sound. There's this immediate sense of connection, but it's not verbal. It's all in the eyes, in the way they observe each other. She's cloaked in leaves and wood, her face obscured by shadows, making her feel less like a person and more like an extension of the forest itself. She listens to his music, and you can see she's not just hearing it, she's understanding the feeling behind it. This is where she delivers a line that, in any other context, would sound like a cheesy romantic opener. But from her, it's something else entirely. She looks at Finn, this kid playing a sad song on his flute, and says with complete sincerity, "You're what I've been looking for." Now, if Princess Bubblegum had said that, Finn's brain would have short-circuited. If Flame Princess had said it, it would have been a prelude to some passionate, probably destructive adventure. But from Huntress Wizard, it's a statement of purpose. She isn't looking for a boyfriend or a hero. She's looking for a partner, a collaborator, a specific magical frequency that she recognizes in his flute playing. She sees past the goofy kid adventurer and perceives what she calls a powerful beast with strong animal desires. She sees his raw, untamed spirit, the very thing that often gets him into trouble, and recognizes it as a source of immense power, a power that mirrors her own. This leads them to their shared mission, to summon the ancient and powerful forest spirit. This isn't your typical dungeon crawl. The goal isn't to slay a monster or find a treasure. The goal is to perform a complex magical ritual, a duet of sorts, to call forth this entity. And the challenge isn't physical, it's spiritual and emotional. They have to sync their energies, their magic, through music. Huntress Wizard plays her bone ocarina, and Finn plays his flute. But it keeps failing. Their initial attempts are discordant. The magic just fizzles out. They face tangible threats, sure, like a giant boar that interrupts them, but the real obstacle is their inability to truly connect on the level the spell requires. There's a frustration there, a sense that they are almost on the same wavelength, but something is holding them back. You can feel the tension as they try and fail, again and again. The forest remains silent, the spirit unsummoned. The mission itself becomes a metaphor for their relationship. It requires a perfect, honest harmony that they haven't quite found yet. And that brings us to the turning point of the entire episode, and maybe their entire relationship. After another failed attempt, sitting in the quiet of the night, the frustration gives way to introspection. Huntress Wizard is trying to diagnose the problem, suggesting maybe Finn needs to focus more on his animal nature. But Finn, in a moment of stunning emotional clarity, cuts right to the heart of the matter. He looks at her and makes a simple, honest admission. He says, "I was playing my flute for you the whole time. Let's just pause and appreciate this moment. This is a huge leap for Finn." He's not trying to be smooth. He's not making a grand, performative declaration of love. He's just telling the truth. He's admitting that his focus wasn't on the forest spirit, or the magic, or his animal desires. His focus was on her. His music was an expression of his feelings for the person sitting next to him. It's an incredibly vulnerable thing to say, laying his emotional cards on the table without any expectation of how she'll react. He's not asking for anything. He's just explaining his state of being. This raw honesty is the missing ingredient, the key to the harmony they were looking for. Huntress Wizard's response is just as complex and mature as Finn's confession. She understands him completely. She leans in and gives him a gentle kiss. This isn't a passionate, romantic kiss like the ones he shared with Flame Princess. It's a kiss of understanding, of acknowledgement. It says, "I see you, I hear you, and I feel it too." It validates his feelings completely. But then, she immediately follows it with a crucial boundary. She pulls back and says, "My flute spell was for you too." But exceptional beasts like us cannot fall in love. Wow. Just wow. Let's break that down. First, the reciprocation. My flute spell was for you too. She admits that her music, her magic, was also directed at him. The connection is mutual. The feelings are real. But then comes the but. That but is everything. Exceptional beasts like us cannot fall in love. She's not rejecting him. She's defining a fundamental aspect of their shared nature. She identifies both of them as exceptional beasts, wild, untamable spirits dedicated to a higher, more primal calling than conventional relationships. For her, to fall in love in the traditional sense would be to cage that beast, to diminish the very wildness that makes her who she is. It's a sad, beautiful, and deeply respectful boundary. Now, think about how the Finn from earlier seasons would have reacted to this. A rejection, even a gentle one, would have sent him spiraling. With bubblegum, he would have doubled down, trying to prove himself worthy. With Flame Princess, a similar boundary might have led to a huge emotional fight. He would have pleaded, or argued, or sunk into a deep depression. But not this Finn. This is where we see his immense emotional growth in its purest form. He doesn't argue. He doesn't say, "But why not? We can make it work." He doesn't plead or try to change her mind. He just listens, processes what she said, and with a quiet, sad understanding, he accepts it. He gives a simple nod. That's it. That nod is one of the most mature things Finn has ever done. It signifies a profound level of respect for her path, and for the truth of their situation. He hears her boundary, understands it comes from a place of deep self-knowledge, and honors it without question. To truly grasp the magnitude of this moment, you have to contrast it with his past relationships. His entire dynamic with Princess Bubblegum was built on a power imbalance. He was the eager knight, and she was the distant, brilliant scientist princess he placed on a pedestal. He was constantly seeking her approval, and his feelings were wrapped up in idolization. He wasn't seeing her as an equal, but as a prize to be won. His relationship with Flame Princess was the polar opposite. It was all raw, untamed passion. They were two chaotic forces crashing into each other. And while the feelings were intense and real, they lacked the stability and mutual understanding to be healthy. It was a relationship defined by emotional extremes, jealousy, and ultimately, a painful breakup because they simply couldn't handle the intensity of their own natures combined. The dynamic with Huntress Wizard is something entirely new. It's a relationship between equals. She doesn't need him to save her, and he doesn't need her approval. They are two exceptional beasts who recognize and respect the wildness in each other. Their connection is built on that shared nature, on emotional honesty, and on a mutual understanding of their own limitations. Finn's ability to accept her boundary shows that he has finally learned the most important lesson in any relationship, that you have to respect the other person's agency and their path, even when it doesn't align perfectly with your own desires. This isn't a tragic ending. It's a mature beginning. It's the start of a deep, meaningful connection that transcends simple romance, proving that our boy is finally, truly growing up. Alright, so let's talk about one of the most quietly profound relationships in the entire show. After the absolute emotional devastation of the Gum War, after watching Fern, his grass clone and spiritual brother, disintegrate right in front of him, Finn is not okay. And how could he be? We just went through this massive, world-altering conflict, and the final note was this deeply personal, tragic loss. This is where the wild hunt comes in, and it's not about some grand adventure to save the world. It's about saving Finn from himself, and it shows us a kind of love and support that is so mature, so understanding, that it honestly takes your breath away. This chapter is all about Finn and Huntress Wizard and how their bond deepens into something truly special. So, picture this. Finn, our hero, the guy who leaps into battle without a second thought, is broken. He's trying to get back to his old life, going on adventures, but something's wrong. He's listless, he's disconnected. He's carrying this immense weight, and it's a very specific kind of weight. This is where we get to the heart of his new internal conflict. It's not about being sad that his friend is gone, though of course he is. It's a deep, corrosive guilt that has fundamentally changed him. He and Huntress Wizard are out in the woods, just chilling, when a couple of small, kind of goofy monsters pop up. Old Finn would have been on them in a flash, right? A whirlwind of mathematical and sword swinging, but this Finn, he just freezes. He draws his sword, he gets ready, and then nothing. He just stands there, completely locked up. Huntress Wizard, being the incredibly perceptive person she is, handles the creatures herself with a single effortless arrow shot. She doesn't ask him what's wrong, not right away. She just observes. She gives him space. Later, sitting by a stream, Finn finally opens up to her. And this is the line, the one that tells you everything you need to know about his trauma. He says, "Every time I'm about to wail on some monster, I remember seeing Fern go kaboom. Guilt paralyzes me. Let's really break that down. It's not just the memory of Fern's death. It's the specific visual of him going kaboom, that explosive, violent end. And it's tied directly to the act of fighting. Think about it from his perspective. Fern was made from the Finn's sword, which was literally a version of Finn himself. For years, Fern struggled with his identity, feeling like a cheap copy, a shadow. In the end, he found peace and sacrificed himself heroically. But for Finn, watching this grass version of himself be destroyed is like watching a part of his own soul get obliterated. Now, whenever he raises his fist or his sword to do the one thing he has always been good at, fighting monsters, his brain connects that act of violence to the traumatic loss of his brother. His heroism is now a trigger for his trauma. Can you imagine a more devastating conflict for a character like Finn? His entire identity is built on being a hero who fights, and now that very act causes him to freeze in paralyzing guilt. He feels responsible, and that feeling has completely disarmed him. Now, here's what makes Huntress Wizard one of the best characters in the entire series. What would a lesser character do? They'd probably say, "Oh, Finn, it's not your fault," or "You have to be strong," or "Let's talk about your feelings." They would try to fix him with words. But Huntress Wizard understands something profound about healing, especially for someone like Finn. She knows you can't talk someone out of trauma. You can't reason it away. Healing is an action. It's a choice you have to make for yourself. So, what does she do? She doesn't try to fix him. She doesn't offer empty platitudes. Instead, she creates a situation. She says she needs his help to hunt a new, powerful beast. It's a challenge, an invitation back into the world he knows, but on her terms. She's not pushing him, she's guiding him. She takes him to the grassy wizard, this pompous, blowhard character who, through some magical ritual, summons a massive, terrifying grass creature. He boasts that only he can control it. Of course, you and I both know that's not going to be the case. The creature immediately turns on its master and then sets its sights on Huntress Wizard. This is her plan. It's a high-stakes, incredibly risky therapeutic session. She puts herself directly in harm's way. The monster is bearing down on her, and she looks at Finn. She doesn't scream for help. She doesn't beg him to save her. She just looks at him with this quiet, unwavering trust. It's a look that says, "I know you're broken, but I also know you're still in there. I trust you to find your way back. I am betting my life on it." This is the climax of the hunt, and it's all internal for Finn. We see the monster charging. We see Huntress Wizard standing her ground, completely vulnerable. And we see Finn, sword in hand, shaking. That paralysis kicks in. His mind is screaming at him, flashing that image of Fern exploding, the guilt washing over him like a tidal wave. He can't move. He can't fight. The thing that defines him has been taken away by his own mind. But then he looks at her. He sees the person who didn't try to fix him, who didn't pity him, but who trusted him completely. She gave him the space to be broken and the opportunity to heal himself. Her safety, her life, is now contingent on him breaking through this wall of guilt. And in that moment, something shifts. The need to protect her, this powerful, instinctual drive, finally becomes stronger than the paralysis. He has to choose. Does he let his guilt consume him and watch someone he cares for get hurt? Or does he push through the pain and act? He chooses to act. With a guttural scream that is part rage, part pain, and part release, he lunges forward. He doesn't just fight the monster, he obliterates it. It's a messy, cathartic explosion of all the pent-up frustration and grief he's been holding inside. He's not just saving her, he's saving himself. He's proving to himself that he can still be a hero, that his trauma doesn't have to be a life sentence. He can feel the guilt and still choose to do good. And then comes the ending, which is just pitch perfect. After this incredibly intense, life-or-death emotional breakthrough, what happens? There's no big dramatic speech. There's no tearful confession of love. Finn is exhausted, lying on the ground, and Huntress Wizard walks over to him. She leans down, and very gently, very casually, she gives him a little kiss. It's soft, it's quick, and it's full of unspoken meaning. It's a thank you. It's an "I knew you could do it." It's an "I'm here." Finn, ever the awkward teenager, just says, "Whoa." And Huntress Wizard, with a little smirk, gets up to walk away. Finn, feeling a bit of his old playful self return, calls out after her, "Hey! Are you in love with me or something?" It's a deflective, silly question, but her response is everything. She stops, looks back, and says with total, deadpan confidence, "Yeah, right. We both know you're totally in love with me." And then she just leaves him there, stunned. That line is brilliant. It's playful banter, but it's also the absolute truth, and they both know it. She's acknowledging their deep connection and affection without putting any pressure on it. It's not a grand declaration that requires a response or a commitment. It's a simple statement of fact, delivered as a joke. It lets them both feel the weight of their feelings for each other while keeping things light and comfortable, which is exactly what Finn needs right now. He doesn't need the pressure of a big romance. He needs a partner who gets him. This whole chapter is a masterclass in showing a relationship built on a foundation of true trust and understanding. Huntress Wizard supports Finn not by telling him what to do, but by trusting him to find his own way. She allows him the space for his personal healing, understanding that his journey is his own. Their connection isn't about dramatic speeches, it's about quiet moments, shared understanding, and the unwavering belief in each other's strength. It's one of the most mature and healthy relationships in the show, a quiet port in the storm for Finn after a period of immense loss and trauma. Alright, let's get into it. We've seen Finn go through so much, haven't we? We've watched him fall in love with a princess made of bubblegum, have his heart absolutely shattered by a princess made of fire, and navigate all the messy, confusing, and wonderful parts of growing up. But then, something different happens. Something quieter, stranger, and in many ways, far more profound. We need to talk about Finn and Huntress Wizard, because their relationship is less of a story and more of a poem, written in a language of symbols that you have to be paying close attention to understand. This isn't your typical cartoon romance. There are no dramatic confessions in the rain or grand sweeping gestures in a ballroom. Instead, their connection unfolds in the quiet, untamed wilderness of Ooh, and its most defining moment involves a birthday party and a raw, bloody piece of anatomy. So, picture this. It's Finn's 17th birthday. This isn't the little kid we first met, screaming mathematical, and running headfirst into danger without a second thought. This is a more seasoned Finn. He's calmer, more thoughtful. He's carrying the weight of his past experiences, but it's made him stronger, more perceptive. The party itself is a reflection of this change. It's still full of friends and fun, but there's a certain maturity to it. Then she appears, Huntress Wizard. She doesn't just walk in, she materializes from the shadows of the forest, as she always does, a figure of serene mystery. She's not there for the cake or the party games, she's there for Finn. She approaches him and presents her gift. There's no fancy wrapping paper, no ribbon, no card with a goofy pun on it. She just holds it out to him. It's a raw elk heart. Just think about that for a second. It's still glistening, probably still warm. It's a visceral, shocking, and, if you're anyone else at that party, probably a really confusing gift. You can almost imagine the record scratch moment as everyone else stops to stare. What do you even do with that? But this is where we see just how much Finn has grown. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't laugh awkwardly or ask, thanks, what is it? He just looks at it, and then he looks at her, and there's this moment of silent, perfect understanding that passes between them. He takes it from her hands with a quiet acceptance. In that single, silent exchange, they say more to each other than most characters do in an entire season of dialogue. So, what on earth does it mean? Why a heart? Let's break down the symbolism because it's just so incredibly rich. First and foremost, that heart represents a kind of primal sincerity that is the very essence of Huntress Wizard's character. She is a creature of the wild. She doesn't understand, or frankly, care for, the polite little rituals of modern society. Buying a gift from a store would be meaningless to her. It would be a performance. It wouldn't be real. The elk heart, on the other hand, is the realest thing you can possibly give. She likely tracked and hunted that elk herself. She put her skill, her energy, her very essence into acquiring it. It's a piece of the wild world she inhabits, offered up without any filter or social pleasantry. It's her way of saying, this is me, this is my world. I can't give you a knitted sweater or a new sword, but I can give you something that is honest and true to who I am. It's a gesture of profound, unvarnished truth. Then you have the layer of vulnerability. I mean, the phrase, giving someone your heart, is the oldest romantic cliché in the book, right? But this show takes that cliché and makes it literal, and in doing so, makes it powerful again. A heart is a fragile, vital organ. It's hidden deep inside the body, protected by bone and muscle. To take it out and offer it to someone is the ultimate act of exposure. The elk heart is messy, it's bloody, it's a little grotesque. It's not pretty or clean, and that's the point. Huntress Wizard is showing Finn the most vulnerable, untamed part of herself. She's not presenting a polished, perfect version of her affection. She's offering him the raw, beating, messy truth of her feelings. She is trusting him to see past the blood and the strangeness to understand the meaning within. It's an incredible act of trust, especially for a character who is so self-contained and solitary. She is trusting him not to be repulsed, not to misunderstand, not to reject this deeply weird and deeply personal part of her soul. And Finn's reaction is the other half of this perfect equation. He gets it instantly. His quiet acceptance is his response in her language. He doesn't need words to say, "I see you. I understand what this means, and I accept it. I accept you." He sees the sincerity, he understands the vulnerability, and he honors the trust she has placed in him. A younger Finn, the one who was so desperate for Flame Princess's affection, might have fumbled this moment. He might have tried to make a joke to deflect the intensity, or been confused and hurt, thinking it was some kind of weird wizard prank. But this Finn, the 17-year-old Finn, has learned that love and connection come in many forms, and that the most meaningful ones often don't look like the stories in books. He has learned to listen not just with his ears, but with his heart. But the symbolism doesn't stop with the heart. Their entire relationship is built on this kind of quiet, natural imagery. Think about where they always meet, the forest. The forest itself is a powerful symbol in their story. It's a place of slow, untamed, and patient growth. Things in a forest don't just spring up overnight. Trees take decades, even centuries, to reach their full height. The ecosystem is a complex, interconnected web that finds its own balance without anyone forcing it. This is a perfect metaphor for their relationship. It's not a whirlwind romance. It's not a dramatic fire that burns bright and fast like his relationship with Flame Princess. It's a connection that grows slowly, organically, and according to its own natural rhythm. They don't force it. They just allow it to be, existing together in this wild space, comfortable in the silence between them. And what about Huntress Wizard's mask? In any other story, a mask is something to be removed. It's a barrier to true intimacy, a secret to be uncovered. The hero's goal is often to see who the person is underneath. But Finn never does this. He never once pressures her to take it off or asks what she's hiding. He accepts the mask as part of who she is. This is so important. The mask represents his acceptance of the unknown. He understands that he doesn't need to know every single thing about her to connect with her. He accepts that there are parts of her that are, and will always be, wild, mysterious, and unknowable, and he's okay with that. He's not trying to solve her like a puzzle or change her into something more conventional. He's content to just be with her, mystery and all. This shows a level of maturity that is light years beyond his earlier relationships, where he often struggled with needing to understand and define everything. Even the idea of the hunt is reframed in their dynamic. They are both, in their own ways, hunters. But their relationship isn't a chase. Finn isn't pursuing her in the traditional romantic sense. Instead, the hunt becomes a metaphor for patience and observation. It's about waiting for the right moment, about understanding your environment, about being in sync with the world around you. They are two skilled hunters coexisting in the same territory. They respect each other's space, each other's methods, and each other's independence. They can go for long periods without seeing each other, but they know the other is out there. Their connection is a patient waiting, a shared understanding that when the time is right, their paths will cross again. It's a partnership built on mutual respect for each other's autonomy, not on possession or neediness. When you put all of these pieces together, the heart, the forest, the mask, the hunt, you realize what their story is truly about. It's not a conventional love story. It's a story about peace. It's about finding that one person in the world who understands your strange, silent language. It's about the profound relief of not having to perform, of being able to present the rawest, weirdest parts of yourself and have them be accepted without question. Their love isn't about changing each other or completing each other. It's about letting each other be exactly who they are. For Finn, after all the chaos and heartbreak, Huntress Wizard represents a quiet harbor, a place of deep, unspoken understanding. And for Huntress Wizard, a creature of solitude, Finn represents a safe place to share her wild heart. It's a beautiful, subtle, and incredibly mature depiction of what love can be, not a roaring fire, but a quiet, ancient forest where two souls can finally be at peace. All right, so let's dive into one of the most pivotal, heart-wrenching, and frankly, game-changing moments in all of Adventure Time. We've seen Finn face down ancient evils, cosmic horrors, and petty despots. We've seen him grapple with romance and the challenges of growing up. But nothing, and I mean nothing, could have prepared us, or him, for the trauma that was about to unfold. This is the story of how Finn met his father. Up until this point, Finn's past was a total blank slate, right? He was the foundling, the baby found in the woods by Joshua and Margaret. He was, for all intents and purposes, an orphan. His identity was forged entirely by his own actions and his bond with Jake. He was Finn the human, a hero defined by his deeds, not his lineage. But there was always that nagging question in the background. Where did he come from? Who were his parents? And then everything changed. It all starts with the ghost of a hero. Remember Billy, the legendary hero who Finn and Jake looked up to. After his tragic death at the hands of the Lich, they find a hidden list of his, a bucket list of unfinished heroic business. And at the very bottom of that list is one shocking item. Tell Finn that his human father is alive and in the Citadel. Just let that sink in for a second. In a single sentence, Finn's entire world is turned on its head. He's not an orphan. His dad is out there. For a kid who has built his entire life around being the last human and a self-made hero, this is a bombshell of cosmic proportions. The hope, the confusion, the sheer elation that must have flooded him is palpable. He has a dad, a real, biological dad. But then comes the second part of that revelation. He's in the Citadel. And what, you might ask, is the Citadel? It's not a castle or a city. It's a prison. A cosmic supermax prison, a massive crystal floating in the middle of space, designed to hold the most dangerous criminals in the multiverse. These aren't your run-of-the-mill bank robbers. These are beings who have committed cosmic crimes. So, immediately, that pure, simple joy of finding his father is tainted with a dark and terrifying question. What did my dad do to get locked up in a place like that? This sets them on a quest, but it's unlike any other. You can't just buy a ticket to the Citadel. To get there, you have to commit a cosmic crime yourself. And what's the one surefire way to do that? Kill a cosmic entity. This leads them to their good friend, Prismo, the Wishmaster. Now, we all love Prismo. He's the chill, two-dimensional being who lives in the time room at the center of the multiverse, making pickles and hanging out with Jake. The plan they hatch is both ingenious and horrifying. See, Prismo is technically just the dream of an old man sleeping in a hidden room. If they kill the dreaming old man, Prismo will cease to exist. That's the cosmic crime. But if they can then wake the old man up, he'll dream Prismo back into existence. It's a loophole, but the emotional cost is immense. Jake has to essentially murder his best friend, even with the hope of bringing him back. But there's a passenger they didn't account for. The Lich. Remember when Finn wished the Lich had never existed, creating Farm World? Well, the Lich that was defeated in their timeline was left as a statue, a harmless husk, inside Prismo's time room. Or so we thought. He was playing possum. The moment Prismo is gone, the moment the cosmic guards of the Citadel are summoned to collect the criminals, the Lich springs back to life. He hitches a ride with Finn and Jake, his malevolent presence turning their deeply personal family quest into an apocalyptic nightmare. So they arrive. The Citadel is even more imposing than you can imagine. A giant, glowing crystal shard surrounded by crystallized guardians. Inside, countless beings are frozen in time, trapped in crystal prisons for their universe, altering crimes. As the Lich monologues about ancient evils and the endless dark, Finn is just scanning the crowd, his eyes desperately searching for one face. For his father. The Lich starts his rampage, melting the crystal prisons with his breath of death, freeing these cosmic horrors to create chaos. But Finn isn't focused on the Lich. He has one mission, and then he sees him, a man who looks, well, a lot like an older Finn. Same basic build, same human features. He's just a guy, trying to bust out of his crystal prison like everyone else. This is the moment. The climax of a lifelong search. Finn, with all the hope and vulnerability a son can have, approaches him through the chaos and says, "Dad." And the response he gets is what breaks everything. The man, Martin Mertens, turns to him. There's no recognition, no tearful reunion, no shock of seeing the son he lost so long ago. There's just casual annoyance. He looks Finn up and down and delivers the line that will haunt Finn forever, son. "Oh hey, good for you, kid. In other news, I still got to get out of here. Let's just stop and analyze that. Good for you, kid." It's not just dismissive. It's a complete and utter invalidation of Finn's entire existence and the monumental journey he just took. He treats the revelation of having a son with the same emotional weight as being told the weather. Martin's entire focus is on one thing and one thing only, himself, his own freedom. He shows zero interest in Finn, zero curiosity, zero paternal instinct. Finn, our hero who saves worlds and protects the innocent, is nothing more than a minor distraction to this man. This isn't a supervillain father who wants to rule the galaxy. This isn't a tragic hero who was forced to abandon his son for the greater good. This is something so much worse, so much more painful, a deadbeat, a selfish, cowardly man who simply does not care. The climax of the episode is a whirlwind of action and emotional devastation. The Citadel Guardians begin to fight back, a massive crystal being trying to contain the breakout. In the chaos, Martin spots an escape vessel made of crystallized cosmic criminals all linked together. This is his chance. He makes a run for it, and Finn, in a last, desperate act of a child refusing to be abandoned again, screams, "Dad, wait!" and latches onto Martin's leg as the ship begins to take off. This is where the trauma is literally carved into Finn's body. He is physically holding on to the father who is emotionally and mentally already gone. He's clinging to a fantasy, a hope that if he can just hold on long enough, his dad will turn around, see him, and save him. But Martin doesn't. He kicks at Finn, trying to shake him off. To Martin, Finn isn't his son. He's just dead weight, an obstacle to his escape. As they fly away from the Citadel, one of the Crystal Guardians fires a laser beam at the escaping ship. It slices through the ship's leg and right through Finn's arm. The show doesn't cut away. We see it. We see the grass sword, which had become Finn's arm, desperately try to hold on to keep him together. But it's too much. The arm is severed. We see Finn, floating in the vacuum of space, a look of pure shock and agony on his face, watching his father's ship fly away without so much as a backward glance. His arm, which for so long was his symbol of heroism, his sword arm, is just gone. In its place is a tiny, blooming flower, a strange and sad remnant of the grass sword's magic. The physical loss is a brutal, horrifying mirror of the emotional loss he just suffered. He reached out for his father, and in return, he lost a part of himself. This event becomes the bedrock of a new, darker chapter for Finn. The pain and rage from this abandonment fester inside him. It's a wound far deeper than the physical one. This leads directly to the episode The Tower, where we see a Finn we've never seen before. He's not sad, he's furious. He's consumed by a singular desire for revenge. He decides he's going to build a tower to space, find his dad, and punch him so hard his arm flies off. Think about that imagery. He wants to inflict the exact same loss upon his father. It's a raw, primal, and deeply understandable reaction to his trauma. He channels all his pain, grief, and psychic energy into building this impossible structure, a literal monument to his own rage. This whole ordeal is arguably the most crucial test of Finn's character in the entire series. His entire heroic identity was built on a simple, black-and-white morality. There are good guys and there are bad guys, and you punch the bad guys. But how do you punch indifference? How do you fight the profound, soul-crushing pain of being abandoned by your own parent? The Lich is an easy evil to understand. He's cosmic death. But Martin Mertens represents a far more complicated and insidious kind of evil, the evil of pure selfishness. This trauma forces Finn to confront the gray areas of the world. It shatters his innocence and forces him to grow up in the most painful way imaginable. The loss of his arm is a constant, physical reminder of that day, that betrayal. It's a symbol of his lost innocence and the moment he learned that some monsters can't be slain with a sword, because sometimes the monster is the father you spent your whole life hoping to find. Alright, so let's dive into one of the biggest, most anticipated chapters in Finn's entire life story. For years, we've been asking the same questions. Where are all the other humans? Who are Finn's parents? Is he truly the last one? The show has dangled this mystery in front of us since the very beginning, and with the Islands miniseries, we finally get our answers. But trust me, the truth is so much more complicated, heartbreaking, and beautiful than any of us could have guessed. This isn't just a lore dump. It's the story of Finn confronting his own origin and deciding, once and for all, who he really is. The whole thing kicks off in a pretty unexpected way. A strange, futuristic ship crashes near the Candy Kingdom, and from it emerges a character we know and love, Susan Strong. Except something's different. A panel on her head activates, revealing a stream of complex data. It turns out that Susan's big ol' hat wasn't just for show, it was hiding a cybernetic implant. This single event cracks open the entire mystery. The ship's logs point to a chain of islands far across the sea, a place where humanity might have survived the Mushroom War. For Finn, this is it. This is the chance he's been waiting for his entire life, even if he didn't always admit it. The possibility of finding his people, his family, is suddenly real. So what do you do when you need to cross a massive, uncharted ocean? You get your best friend and your brother, Jake the dog, and your other best friend, BMO, and you build a boat. The decision to leave Ooo is monumental. Think about it. This is their home. It's the only world they've ever known. But the call to find out where Finn comes from is just too strong to ignore. The journey itself is a classic Adventure Time odyssey. They don't just sail from point A to point B. Oh no, that would be too simple. Instead, they island hop, and each island is like a weird, self-contained fable that tests them in different ways. There's one island where technology has become obsolete, and the single human inhabitant has retreated into a permanent VR simulation, living out a fantasy while the real world crumbles around him. It's a pretty stark warning about escapism, right? Then they land on another island that seems like a paradise, where everyone is super nice and welcoming, only to discover it's a society built on a lie, and they're about to be corrected into smiling, mindless drones. Each stop on the journey forces Finn to reflect on different aspects of society and what it means to be alive. It's not just a physical journey, it's an emotional and philosophical one, preparing him for the sheer culture shock of what he's about to find. After navigating these strange new worlds, they finally arrive, Founders Island. And it is sterile. It's a hyper-advanced, technologically perfect utopia. Clean white buildings, pristine streets, and a population of humans who have lived in a bubble, completely sheltered from the chaos and magic of the outside world. They're all looked after by friendly robots called helpers. Everything is safe, everything is orderly, and honestly, it's kind of creepy. This is what humanity became without the weird, wild magic of Ooo. They prioritized safety above all else, creating a perfect, predictable, and passionless world. Here, the personal story deepens. We find out Susan Strong's real name is Kara, and she was sent to Ooo on a mission as a child to bring Finn back. She has a childhood friend here, Frida, who helps fill in some of the blanks. But the biggest revelation is about who runs this place. The entire island is managed by a benevolent consciousness, a disembodied voice they call the Founder. And as Finn delves deeper, he discovers the unbelievable truth. The Founder, the AI who built this utopia to protect the last remnants of humanity, is his mother, Minerva Campbell. Let's just pause on that for a second. Can you imagine? Finn finds his mom, the person he's dreamed of meeting his whole life, and she's not a person anymore. She's a ghost in the machine. He meets her in a vast, empty room where her consciousness is projected as a giant holographic face. There's no hug, no physical touch, just the voice of a woman who loved him, filtered through a million lines of code. She uploaded her mind to the island's network decades ago to save her people from a plague, sacrificing her body to become their eternal protector. The reunion is overwhelming and deeply tragic. He found her, but at the same time, she's gone forever. This is where we get the flashback. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. Through Minerva's digital memories, we see the whole story. We see Finn's father, Martin Mertens, but not as the cosmic deadbeat we know. We see him as a young man. He was what the Islanders called a hider, basically a con man and a rogue who lived on the fringes of their orderly society, scamming his way to a living. He was charming, reckless, and a bit of a scoundrel. And then he meets Minerva Campbell, a brilliant and compassionate doctor completely dedicated to helping people. She's everything he's not, responsible, selfless, a pillar of the community, and, of course, they fall in love. It's a beautiful, genuine romance. He brings chaos and excitement into her orderly life, and she brings stability and love into his. They build a life together, and soon they have a baby. Baby Finn. We see these incredibly tender scenes of them as a happy family. Martin playing with Finn, Minerva watching them with so much love in her eyes. This wasn't a broken home. This was a family full of love, a family that was happy. And seeing this makes what comes next so much more devastating. Their idyllic life is shattered when the island's authoritarian seekers start cracking down on the hiders. Martin, Minerva, and baby Finn are forced to flee. They make a desperate escape on a makeshift raft, trying to reach a new life beyond the island's control. But the island has a guardian, a colossal, terrifying security robot designed to keep people in. The guardian attacks their raft. In a moment of pure, selfless heroism, Martin fights the machine to protect his family. He tells Minerva to take Finn and go. But in the ensuing chaos, the raft is destroyed. Baby Finn is swept away by the current, lost to the sea, eventually washing ashore in Ooh to be found by Joshua and Margaret. Martin is zapped by the Guardian, sustaining a massive electrical shock to his head. Minerva, watching from the shore, sees her baby and the man she loves disappear into the storm and believes them both to be dead. It's the single traumatic event that broke their family and sent them all hurtling down three completely different paths. Now, let's talk about Martin. This new context changes everything we thought we knew about him. For seasons, he was just Finn's jerk dad, the guy who abandoned him, who only cared about himself, who chose cosmic crime over his own son. But this flashback suggests something much more tragic. The Martin we met, the one on the Citadel prison ship, wasn't the same man who fought a giant robot for his family. That zap to the head. It almost certainly caused severe brain damage and memory loss. The charming, loving father was gone. What was left was a fractured version of his old self, the con man instincts, the selfishness, the flightiness, but without the grounding love for his family to temper it. He didn't remember Finn. He didn't remember Minerva. He was just a hollow echo of the man he used to be. Does this excuse him abandoning Finn on the Citadel, or trying to flee on the giant space caterpillar? No, of course not. His actions were still his own, but it explains them. It reframes his character from one of pure malice to one of profound tragedy. He didn't just lose his son, he lost himself in that storm too. The trauma and the injury warped him into the self-serving coward we came to know, and he likely spent years adrift without any memory of the happy family he fought so hard to protect. Back in the present, Finn is faced with an impossible choice. Minerva, in her endlessly protective, motherly way, offers him paradise. She can create a perfect simulation for him, a world where he can live out the happy childhood that was stolen from him, safe forever within her digital embrace. No more monsters, no more danger, no more heartbreak, just peace. For a boy who has fought his entire life, it's an incredibly tempting offer. But this is the ultimate test of nature versus nurture. Is his identity rooted in his biology, in the human utopia where he was born? Or is it rooted in his experiences, in the wild, chaotic, magical land that raised him? And in one of the most powerful moments of his entire character arc, Finn chooses, he turns down paradise. He explains to his mother that his life, with all its scraped knees, broken hearts, and terrifying adventures, is what made him who he is. His identity isn't human, it's Finn the human. His family isn't the strangers on this island, it's Jake, his brother who has been by his side through everything. It's BMO. It's Princess Bubblegum and Marceline. The land of Ooh, in all its beautiful, dangerous weirdness, is his home. He has forged his identity through his actions, his friendships, and his love for a world that is anything but safe. He is a product of his nurture, not just his nature. Minerva, being a creature of pure logic and protective instinct, can't understand this at first. Why would her son choose danger over safety? Why would he choose a world of chaos over the perfect order she can provide? So, she does the only thing she can. She accesses his memories. She lives his entire life in a matter of moments. She sees him as a baby, a little kid, a teenager. She sees him fight the Lich, fall in love with Flame Princess, save the Candy Kingdom a dozen times over. She sees his bond with Jake. She sees the hero he has become, not in spite of his chaotic upbringing, but because of it, and she understands. She sees that her son didn't just survive, he thrived. He lived a full, rich, meaningful life. She finally sees the man he is, not just the baby she lost. With newfound respect, she accepts his choice. Their farewell is heartbreakingly beautiful. He can't stay, and she can't leave, but there's peace. He knows his mother loved him, and she knows her son grew up to be a great hero. As a parting gift, so she won't be alone, Finn allows her to upload a copy of his consciousness, a Finn cake, into her system. It's a small piece of him that can stay with her forever. Finn, Jake, BMO, and Kara Susan leave the island, sailing back to Ooh, back home. Finn left on a quest to find out where he came from, and he returns knowing exactly who he is. Alright, let's talk about one of the most complex, tragic, and honestly best characters to come out of the later seasons of Adventure Time. We need to talk about Fern, because to understand Fern is to understand Finn in a way we never could before. It's like looking at a reflection in a warped mirror, where you can see all the familiar shapes, but everything is just a little bit off, a little bit darker. Fern is Finn's literal shadow self, a walking, talking identity crisis made of grass, and his story is an absolute gut punch. So where does this guy even come from? To get it, you have to remember two very specific, very weird swords Finn has used. First, you've got the Finn sword. Remember that thing. It was created way back in the episode Is That You? From a time paradox version of Finn. A little Finn clone was created, lived a whole life inside a time-accelerated dimension, and then got smooshed into the shape of a sword. So, when Finn was swinging that thing around, he was literally swinging a version of himself. It wasn't just a sword, it was a vessel containing Finn's essence, his memories, his heroic spirit. It was Finn. Then you have the grass sword. This was the cursed blade he got from the grassy wizard. It was cool for sure, wrapping around his arm like a spiky green vine, but it was always a bit off. It was a parasite, a curse, and we eventually learned that sealed inside this sword is a powerful and chaotic grass demon. For a long time, these two things, the Finn sword and the grass sword, existed separately. One was the purest form of Finn's spirit, and the other was a chaotic, cursed entity bound to him. You can probably see where this is going, right? Two opposing forces, tied to the same person. It's a recipe for disaster. The disaster strikes in the Season 8 premiere, two swords. Finn is trying to deal with one of Susan Strong's old Seeker robots, and in the chaos, the Finn sword gets sucked into this weird, glitchy portal. When it comes out, it's been fundamentally changed. It's green, thorny, and twisted, almost like the grass sword has infected it. Later, back at the tree fort, this new, corrupted Finn sword starts to crackle with energy, and then it splits open like a seed pod. And from that sword, a new being emerges. He looks exactly like Finn, but he's made entirely of blades of grass, vines, and flowers. This is the birth of Fern, but here's the crucial part. This isn't just a plant clone. This is a fusion. The consciousness of the Finn sword, which, remember, is Finn, has been merged with the chaotic, instinctual nature of the grass demon. So you have a creature who wakes up with every single one of Finn's memories. He remembers being a baby, being raised by Joshua and Margaret. He remembers meeting Jake, finding the Enchiridion, fighting the Lich, falling in love with Princess Bubblegum and then Flame Princess. He feels all of Finn's morals, his deep-seated desire to be a hero and help people. In his mind, he is Finn Mertens. And then he looks across the room and sees the original, the flesh and blood Finn. Can you even imagine the psychological horror of that moment? To wake up, completely certain of who you are, only to be confronted with the fact that you are a copy, an echo. This is the core of Fern's entire tragedy, the conflict that defines his short, painful life, an unbearable identity crisis. He has the mind and soul of Finn, but the body of a plant monster. He has the memories, but he's not the one who truly lived them. He tries to deal with it, he really does. At first, he and Finn try to be a team, the Finn men, but the cracks start to show almost immediately. He's clumsy. His grass powers are unpredictable and sometimes destructive. Everyone he meets is confused. Jake tries to be a good brother to both of them, but it's just weird. Fern is living in a world that was built for someone else, a world where he is perpetually redundant. He sleeps in Finn's bed, eats Finn's food, and fights alongside Finn's friends, all while being a constant, living reminder that he is not the genuine article. This is where his resentment begins to fester. It's not just simple jealousy, it's a deep, existential pain. He feels like he's living in the real Finn's shadow. Every heroic deed Finn performs is another reminder of what Fern should be, but isn't. He's a cover band playing in the same room as the original artist. The world only needs one Finn the human, and he's not it. This feeling of being a lesser version, a cheap knockoff, starts to curdle inside him. The chaotic, demonic part of his nature starts to feed on that insecurity, whispering in his ear that he's being cheated, that he deserves to be the real one. He tries to carve out his own identity. He knows he can't be Finn, so he tries to be someone else. This leads to one of the most heartbreaking lines in the entire series. After another frustrating adventure where he feels like a failure, he turns to Finn and says it, plain and simple, "But I'm not you. It's clear that I'm someone else, so from now on, call me Fern the Human." Let's just sit with that for a second. He chooses the name Fern, which is perfect. It acknowledges his plant nature, but then he adds the human. Why? Because that's the part of him he's most desperate to hold on to. It's the Finn part. He's trying, with every fiber of his being, to legitimize himself, to convince the world and, more importantly, to convince himself that he is just as real, just as valid as the boy he was copied from. But the very name is a contradiction, a sad little paradox that perfectly captures his struggle. He's a plant boy calling himself a human, forever caught between what he is and what he feels he should be. This internal turmoil eventually boils over into betrayal. In the episode 3 Buckets, Fern's resentment reaches its breaking point. He's been manipulated by Finn's scheming Uncle Gumbald, who sees Fern's insecurity as a tool to be used. Gumbald validates Fern's dark feelings, telling him that he is the better Finn and that he deserves to take his rightful place. Fueled by this poison, Fern sets a trap. He uses his knowledge of Finn, his adventurous spirit, his trust in his friends, against him. He leads Finn to a dungeon, promising a cool adventure, but it's a lie. He traps Finn in a stasis pod, a glass coffin, and his plan is laid bare. It's chilling. He doesn't want to just defeat Finn or prove he's better. He wants to replace him. He wants to erase the original so that the copy can finally be real. He monologues about how he'll be a new, more refreshed Finn, how he'll finally get to be the hero, to have the life he feels was stolen from him at the moment of his creation. It's the ultimate act of desperation. Since he can't create an identity of his own, he decides to steal Finn's. Of course, Finn escapes, and it leads to their final, tragic confrontation. This isn't just a fight between two characters. It's Finn literally fighting himself. Fern is the personification of Finn's darkest potential. He is Finn's insecurity. his jealousy, his capacity for anger and resentment, all given a physical form and amplified by the grass demon's chaotic energy. When Finn fights Fern, he is fighting the worst parts of his own soul. The fight is brutal and deeply emotional. Finn is holding back. He doesn't want to kill Fern. He pities him. He understands his pain. He's looking at a version of himself twisted by suffering. But Fern is relentless. He's powered by a whole season's worth of agony and a burning desire to finally exist without a shadow hanging over him. He uses his grass powers in terrifying ways, morphing his body into giant fists and sharp weapons. He is pure, unrestrained rage. Finally, Finn is pushed into a corner. He realizes there's no talking Fern down. The grass demon part of him is too strong, too consumed by hatred. In a moment of tragic necessity, Finn uses a special root-cutting weapon from the dungeon to strike Fern. The effect is horrifying. Fern doesn't just die, he unravels. His physical form, the intricate web of grass and vines holding him together, comes undone. He disintegrates into a pile of limp greenery, his form dissolving until nothing is left. Finn is left standing there, having just destroyed his own living shadow. He isn't triumphant, he's traumatized. He had to confront the darkest part of himself, and he had to destroy it. It's a profound, horrifying act of self-confrontation, and it leaves a deep scar on his soul, a quiet understanding of the darkness he himself is capable of. Fern, the boy made of grass, was gone, leaving behind nothing but a tragic echo and a hero forced to kill his own reflection. Alright, so let's get into it. This is it, the big one. We're at the beginning of the end, the 4-part series finale ominously titled, "Come Along With Me," and trust me, the name is a promise. It's an invitation to see this incredible journey through to its very last note. For years, we've been building to this, watching Finn grow, seeing kingdoms rise and fall, and now, all the chickens are coming home to roost in the form of the Great Gum War. This isn't just another Monster of the Week episode. This is the culmination of a decade of storytelling, a conflict that threatens to tear the land of Ooh apart for good. So, what's the stage look like? On one side, you have our very own Princess Bubblegum. She's brilliant, she's a scientist, she's a ruler, but right now, she's a general. Her entire Candy Kingdom is mobilized for war. We're talking Gumball Guardians marching in formation, Banana Guards looking surprisingly serious, and PB herself clad in battle armor looking every bit the formidable monarch she is. And who is she facing? Her own family, her own creation, Uncle Gumball. Let's take a second to remember who this guy is, because his backstory is key to understanding why this war is so tragic. Way back, when Bubblegum was first creating the Candy Kingdom, she wasn't alone. She created a family to help her, her brother, Chico, and her cousin, Lolly. And then there was Gumball, her uncle. They were her first citizens, her confidants. But Gumball got ambitious. He saw Bonnie's creations and thought he could do better. He saw her as a naive kid playing with chemistry sets, while he had grander, more controlling visions. He betrayed her, planning to douse her with a dumb solution to make her simple and compliant so he could take over. Of course, Bubblegum, being Bubblegum, outsmarted him. She turned the tables, and Gumball, along with Lolly and Chickle, were transformed into simple, mindless candy people. Gumball became Punchy, the perpetually cheerful Punch Bowl, and his co-conspirators became the unassuming Root Beer Guy and Lolly. For centuries, they lived these simple lives, their true identities buried. But now, they remember. Gumball is back, and he has built his own kingdom, Gumbaldia, a perfect, sterile, and eerily uniform city-state. And he is filled with a righteous, centuries-old fury. From his perspective, Bubblegum stole his life, his identity, his ambition. She turned him into a joke. So this war isn't just about territory for him, it's about revenge. It's about proving that he was the rightful ruler all along. He's not just an enemy, he's a dark mirror of Bubblegum herself, a brilliant, controlling creator who believes his way is the only way. This is the powder keg we're sitting on. Two powerful, stubborn rulers, bound by a twisted family history, ready to sacrifice everything to prove the other one wrong. The battlefield is drawn, the armies are amassed, and the fate of Ooh hangs in the balance. And stuck right in the middle of it all, Finn the human. Our boy has come a long way, hasn't he? Remember the kid who would punch a cyclops just for looking at him funny? That kid is gone. In his place is a young man who has seen the cost of war, who has lost friends, lost an arm, and lost his innocence. He looks at this massive buildup of forces, at Bubblegum's hardened face and Gumbald's smug grin, and he doesn't see glory or adventure. He sees a pointless cycle of pain. He tries, he really does. He becomes this frantic, desperate diplomat running between the two camps. He pleads with Bubblegum, telling her that even if she wins, the hatred won't just disappear. It'll fester, it'll come back. He tries to get through to Gumbald, but Gumbald just sees him as Bubblegum's little pet hero. Finn is screaming into the void, and nobody is listening. He has this profound, heartbreaking realization, and he says it out loud, more to himself than anyone else. Even if she wins now, this is never going to end. I can feel it. It's such a heavy line. It's the voice of maturity, of someone who understands that true victory isn't about crushing your enemy, but about finding a way to live together. But in this moment, peace feels utterly impossible. The war drums are beating too loud. So, with diplomacy failing and the two armies literally charging at each other across the field, who steps in? Of course, it's Jake the dog. In a moment of pure, chaotic genius, Jake decides to take matters into his own hands. He pulls out a little bottle filled with a swirling, otherworldly liquid. This is the Nightmare Potion, a little something he got from his shape-shifting alien parent. The idea is simple, almost childishly so. If everyone has the same horrible nightmare, they'll wake up so freaked out that they'll realize fighting is stupid and all go home. It's a last-ditch, insane plan, but it's a Jake plan. It's driven by love. He can't bear to watch his best friends, Finn and PB, get torn apart by this. So, just as the first candy arrows are about to fly, he smashes the vial on the ground. A psychedelic wave of energy washes over the entire battlefield, and everyone, Bubblegum, Gumbald, Finn, the Banana Guards, everyone collapses into a deep, enchanted sleep. And this is where things get truly wild. We're plunged into a shared dreamscape, a chaotic, terrifying world built from the collective subconscious of two entire armies. It's a dimension of pure nightmare logic, where fears and anxieties take physical form. And in the heart of this chaos, Finn finds himself face to face with his greatest personal conflict, Fern. Oh, Fern. What a tragic character. Remember, he was born from the Finn sword, which contained a copy of Finn's consciousness, and then got corrupted by the grass demon that had been clinging to Finn for ages. He is Finn, but he's also not. He's a living paradox, a plant-based copy cursed to live in the shadow of the real Finn. Gumbald, being the master manipulator he is, rebuilt Fern after his last defeat, twisting his insecurities and making him a living weapon fueled by resentment. So when they meet in this dream world, it's not a friendly reunion. It's a raw, painful confrontation. Fern lashes out, screaming about how Finn gets to be the hero while he's just the grassy mess. For Fern, this is his chance to finally destroy the person he sees as the source of all his pain. For Finn, it's just sad. He doesn't want to fight Fern anymore. He understands his pain. But in the nightmare world, you don't always have a choice. You have to fight. As their battle rages, tearing through the surreal landscape of the dream, Jake realizes his plan isn't working. Just making people fight in their sleep isn't solving the root problem. The anger is still there. He needs to go deeper. And that's when he leads Finn and Fern to a massive, imposing structure in the middle of Finn's subconscious, a literal vault. This is where Finn has locked away all his trauma, all his repressed memories, all the painful things he doesn't want to look at. His fear of the ocean, the horror of the leash, the pain of being abandoned by his parents, the shock of losing his arm, every romantic failure, every moment of self-doubt, it's all in there. With a grunt, Jake pries the massive vault door open, and all of it comes pouring out. It's a tidal wave of pure, unfiltered psychic pain. We see flashes of a baby Finn crying alone in the woods, of his arm being torn off, of his confrontations with his deadbeat dad, of his heartbreaking goodbyes. It's everything that has shaped him, everything that has hurt him. It's the torment he carries with him every single day. And as these memories swirl around them, a vortex of pain and fear, Jake looks at Fern, whose face is a mask of shock and dawning realization. This is the climax of their entire relationship. Jake says the words that change everything. See, this is our shared torment. We got to confront them head on. In that single moment, Fern's entire worldview shatters. He finally understands all the pain he feels. The insecurity, the feeling of being broken, the anger. It isn't unique to him. It's Finn's pain too. He's not a flawed copy of a perfect hero. He's an exact copy of a deeply flawed, deeply traumatized, but incredibly resilient person. They are the same. Their torment is shared. That shared understanding is the key. The resentment that fueled Fern, the anger that gave the grass demon its power, it all just evaporates. It's replaced by empathy, by acceptance. And together, as two halves of the same whole, they turn to face the physical manifestation of their curse, the snarling grass demon. But this time, they don't fight it with swords. They confront it with acceptance. Finn reaches out and embraces this creature, this symbol of his pain and Fern's curse. He accepts it as a part of himself. And in that moment of true self-acceptance, the demon doesn't explode in a shower of goo. It dissolves peacefully, its power gone. Fern is finally free, and more importantly, Finn is finally whole. He has looked into the darkest parts of himself, not with fear, but with understanding, and has come out stronger. It's a beautiful, profound moment about how you can't defeat your demons by fighting them, but by learning to live with them. It's the ultimate act of growing up. Alright, so let's talk about the end. I mean, the real end. After all the Candy Kingdoms, the Lich Kings, the Lost Parents, and the Cosmic Comets, it all comes down to this. The final episode, Come Along With Me, isn't just a finale. It's a symphony of everything Adventure Time ever was, and it all crescendos with the arrival of the one entity that even the most powerful beings in the universe are terrified of, Gulb. So picture this, the Great Gum War, this massive conflict that's been building for seasons, just got interrupted. It's like two kids fighting over a toy in the sandbox, and suddenly, the sky cracks open and a god appears. Gulb isn't a villain in the way the Lich was. The Lich wanted to end all life. He had a goal. Gulb just is. He's the embodiment of chaos, of disharmony, of things falling apart. He's a giant, floating, eerily silent red head, and his mere presence starts to unravel the very fabric of ooh. You see characters glitching, twisting, being remade into these horrifying, monstrous versions of themselves. This isn't an invasion, it's a system crash for reality itself. And who brought him here? Betty. Poor, brilliant, love-driven Betty in her most desperate attempt yet to save Simon from the Ice King's crown. She thought she could use a being of pure chaos to hit the reset button, but you can't control a hurricane, and you certainly can't control Gulb. In the middle of this cosmic horror show, we get one of the most heartbreaking moments of the entire series. One of Gulb's chaotic monstrosities, this giant lurching beast, slams directly into the treehouse. And just like that, it's gone. The place where it all started. The home we've spent a decade in, filled with treasures, memories, and nectar living in the walls. It's not blown up in a blaze of glory, it's just broken, crushed, wiped away by a mindless force of chaos. You see the look on Finn and Jake's faces. It's more than just losing their house. It's the tangible, brutal end of their childhood. The safe space is gone, and there's no going back. This is the moment you realize the old Adventure Time is over for good. Now, let's get back to Betty, because her story is the tragic heart of this whole finale. She's standing there, wearing the Ice King's crown, trying to channel its power to make a wish that will finally free Simon. She's always believed she could science or magic her way into fixing him, but she's playing with forces that are fundamentally beyond understanding. Gulb doesn't grant wishes, it consumes. As she's being overwhelmed by this chaotic energy, Simon, or the Ice King, really sees her in danger. And that's the thing about the crown, right? It buried Simon under layers of madness, but it could never ever erase his love for Betty. He rushes to her side, and in an instant, Gulb's massive tongue lashes out and swallows them both. They're just gone, pulled into the belly of the beast. What does Finn do? What has Finn always done? He doesn't hesitate. He doesn't strategize. He sees his friends in peril, and he just acts. Jake, ever the protective older brother, stretches out, trying to hold him back, screaming, "No, Finn, it's a bad idea." But Finn is already gone. He makes a mad dash for Golb's closing maw, a hero charging into the literal mouth of chaos. And in a split second, one of Golb's massive teeth slams down, shearing his robotic arm clean off. It's brutal, and it's a powerful callback to the first time he lost his arm. It's a physical representation of his willingness to sacrifice a piece of himself to save the people he loves. He doesn't even stop. He just keeps going, diving into the void after Simon and Betty. So now, Finn is inside Golb, and it's exactly as horrifying as you'd imagine. It's not like a stomach. It's a dimension of pure chaos. Things are being unmade, deconstructed. He finds Simon, who is being digested by this chaos, his form flickering, his very essence being erased and reset to a more primal, simple state. It's a terrifying, existential threat. But while Finn is fighting for his friends on the inside, something amazing, something so perfectly Adventure Time, is happening on the outside. Everyone is fighting Golb's monsters, but weapons don't work. Magic doesn't work. How do you fight the concept of discord? Well, you fight it with its polar opposite, harmony. And where do we find the purest harmony in all of in BMO, of course. Tucked away and scared, BMO starts to sing a little song to comfort himself. It's that song, Time Adventure. It's a soft, sweet, heartbreakingly beautiful song about how time marches on, how things will happen that will make you happy and sad. It's not a war cry. It's a song of acceptance, of friendship, of love. Jake hears it over the comms and starts singing along. Then Bubblegum hears it, and through her tears, she starts to sing. Then Marceline joins in, her voice blending with PB's. Soon, the entire army, all the citizens of friends and foes alike, are singing this one simple, beautiful song. And what happens? The music, this unified wave of pure harmony, is like poison to Golb's creatures. They shriek, they recoil, they dissolve. It's not a victory won by swords and fists. It's a victory won by connection, by everyone coming together to create something beautiful in the face of ugliness. It is, without a doubt, one of the most powerful scenes in the history of animation. This wave of harmony is so powerful, it even pierces Golb's hide, creating a momentary escape route. Inside, Finn is trying to get Simon out, but what about Betty? She's there, but she's changed. Wearing the crown and being inside Golb has given her a moment of cosmic clarity. She finally understands. You can't defeat chaos. You can't wish it away. Her obsessive quest to fix Simon, to turn back the clock, is what brought this destruction upon them all. She has one wish left from the power of the crown, and in this moment, she makes the ultimate sacrifice. She doesn't wish for Simon to be cured. She doesn't wish for them to escape together. Her wish is simple, selfless, and profound. I wish for the power to keep Simon safe. And the universe, in its strange and often cruel way, grants her wish. To keep Simon safe from all harm, for all time, she must become a being powerful enough to do so. She merges with Golb. She becomes one with the entity of chaos, not destroying it, but balancing it, taming it from within. She becomes this new, massive, powerful being, Golbetti. She uses her newfound power to push Finn and Simon out to safety. There's a final, silent moment where Simon, now fully himself, free from the crown for the first time in 1,000 years, looks up at this cosmic goddess that was once the love of his life. He's saved. He's finally free, but he's lost her forever. It's the most bittersweet victory imaginable. Betty didn't get her happy ending with Simon, but she fulfilled her deepest desire. She saved him once and for all. With Golb or Golbetti gone, the war is over. The world is saved. But there are still pieces to pick up. We find Finn and Jake with Fern. Poor Fern, who has been struggling with his identity as a Finn copy, a grass clone with a demon inside him, is finally fading away. The curse has run its course. But he's not angry or jealous anymore. He's at peace. He tells Finn, "I know I'm not you, but I'm not just some cheap copy either." He's finally found himself right at the very end. With his last breath, he gives Finn a tiny seed and asks him to plant it back at the crater where the treehouse used to be. So Finn and Jake return to the ruins of their home, this giant hole in the ground, and they plant the fern seed. Instantly, a massive new tree sprouts from the earth, growing tall and strong in seconds. And there, nestled in its highest branches, is a new Finn sword, waiting for the next adventure. It's the perfect metaphor for the show's theme of endings and beginnings. From the ashes of their old home, from the sacrifice of Fern, new life and new purpose has grown. Fern didn't just die, he became the foundation for the future. This brings us to the very last scene. We're by the music hole, and it's quiet. Peaceful. Finn, with a new, more advanced robotic arm, is there with Jake. Princess Bubblegum and Marceline are lounging together, happy and relaxed, their long, complicated history finally settled into a simple, peaceful love. And Simon is there, no longer a king of ice and madness, but a gentle scholar, reading his piano and cake stories to his friends. Everyone has lost something profound, but they've also found a measure of peace. And then BMO starts to sing. He sings the opening theme, "Come Along With Me," but it's not the upbeat intro we're used to. It's slow, gentle, and deeply personal. As he sings, we see a montage of the future. We see glimpses of everyone's lives continuing. We see Sweet Pea graduating and growing into a massive, heroic figure. We see Turtle Princess becoming a great leader. We see that life in Ooh goes on. The story we've been watching may be over, but the adventure never truly ends. The final shot is of the new tree, standing tall where the old one fell, the Finn sword gleaming in its branches, a promise of everything that's yet to come. It's an ending about acceptance, about finding peace after the storm, and about understanding that every ending is just the start of a new beginning. And that, my friend, is how you end the story. Alright, so let's talk about the end. The real end. After all the adventures, all the princesses saved, all the cosmic weirdness, we finally got the definitive conclusion to the story of Finn the human and Jake the dog. And man, what an ending it was. It's all wrapped up in this one beautiful, heartbreaking, and ultimately perfect special called Distant Lands, Together Again. This wasn't just another adventure. This was the final adventure, the one that answers the biggest question of all: what happens when the fun ends? The story kicks off in the most gut-wrenching way possible. We see Finn, but he's not the kid we remember. He's an old man, weathered by a lifetime of heroics, and he has just died. That's right, they did it. They showed us the end of Finn's mortal life. He wakes up in a strange, skeletal boat, sailing on a river of bones, and finds himself in the dead worlds. Now, what are the dead worlds? Imagine the afterlife isn't just one place, but a whole series of realms, 50 of them to be exact. The first dead world is where pretty much everyone lands initially, a chaotic, boneyard-like place. As souls find peace or resolve their issues, they can ascend to higher and higher worlds, with each one getting progressively more blissful and tranquil. But Finn isn't interested in ascending or finding peace. He has one mission, one singular goal that has driven him his entire life and continues to drive him even in death. He has to find Jake. He learns that Jake, having died sometime before him, has already made the journey. He didn't just ascend, he went all the way. Jake reached the 50th dead world. Think of the 50th as the ultimate cosmic reward, a state of pure, undiluted nirvana. It's a golden, shimmering paradise where you merge with the universe, lose your sense of self, and experience eternal bliss. For anyone else, that would be the goal. For Finn, it's a nightmare, because a Jake who has merged with the universe is a Jake who has forgotten him. And a life, or afterlife, without his brother is no paradise at all. So begins Finn's final quest, a desperate scramble through the realms of the dead to pull his best friend back from ultimate peace. As he starts his journey, he immediately runs into some familiar and not-so-friendly faces. Remember Tiffany, the kind of sort of adoptive brother of Jake's who always had this weird, jealous rivalry with Finn? Well, he's here, and he's got a new gig. He's a gaudily dressed, over-enthusiastic officer working for the new ruler of the afterlife, a being called New Death. Tiffany tries to stop Finn, enforcing the bureaucratic rules of this new afterlife, and you can just feel that old tension flare up. It's a great callback that immediately establishes that the afterlife is not what it used to be. It's become rigid, ordered, and something feels deeply wrong about it. But the journey isn't all about old rivals, it's also about closure. In one of the most touching moments in the entire Adventure Time saga, Finn is reunited with his parents. Not his human parents, but the ones who truly raised him, Joshua and Margaret, the magical detective dogs. They're just chilling in one of the lower dead worlds, enjoying a peaceful eternity together in a perfect replica of their old house. Seeing Finn, now an old man himself, embrace the parents he lost as a child is just devastatingly beautiful. They get to talk, to catch up. He gets to tell them about his life, and they get to be proud of the hero he became. It's a moment of profound peace for Finn, a piece of closure he never got in life. It's a reminder of where his story began, with this loving, unconventional family that set him on his path. But even this perfect reunion can't stop him. His drive to find Jake is all-consuming. He finally figures out a way to get Jake's attention. He learns that souls in the 50th Dead World can still vaguely perceive the lower worlds. So, he causes a massive ruckus, a huge, chaotic fight, knowing it's the one thing that could possibly break through Jake's zen-like state. And it works. High up in the golden paradise of the 50th world, a blissful, formless Jake is suddenly annoyed. That familiar feeling of his brother being a chaotic dingus is enough to pull him back. He descends from nirvana, sacrificing ultimate cosmic peace without a second thought just because his brother needed him. Their reunion is everything you'd hope for. It's a big, tearful hug between an old man and his magical dog brother. They're together again, and for a moment, all is right with the universe. But of course, it can't be that simple. Their reunion is cut short by New Death, who is furious that Jake has broken the ultimate rule and left the 50th Dead World. And here's where the final conflict truly reveals itself.